You do not need to defeat him again.
He tasks me. He tasks me.
It's time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gary.
Oh my God, look, it's Zach's. I'm so glad he's here because our internet's been so spotty this week. I am recovering from the flu, so if I still sound a little rough, I apologize. But anyway, welcome to another TGIF, a Pop Culture Minefield and Friends. And our friends today are very special. We have a very special panelist today. First time on the show, none other than SnoDub is here. SnoDub's in the house.
Thank
He's
you.
in his house.
I love Elmo.
I wasn't expecting such a warm welcome. Thank you.
Oh, man, you know, we all love you.
Lies.
You're one of those people I keep talking about having on, and then just because I'm always so fucking busy with my career, I never get a chance to invite you. And I'm like, fuck it. Because Tom and I were talking about you. I'm referring, of course, to Tom from Midnight's Edge. And because Tom and I talk all the time. And I'm like, and our conversation was business oriented, but there was like, I'm like, God damn it, I need to talk to SnoDub. And I want to get him on the show because, one, you're one of the funniest dudes. And I always think it's weird with the puppets. But at the same time, I find it endearing. And I was really surprised that you're not using the puppets right now. It's like,
that's kind of what I was assuming was the reason you never invited me on was because of the extremely offensive puppets. So I just came on as SnoDub today.
Oh, no, you are welcome to be offensive on this show as much as you want. I mean, fuck it. Keith and I are offensive already as people. We have friends that we've equally lost over their offense sensitivity because we're so offensive and their sensitivity to our offensiveness.
It is most unfortunate.
Yes, it was, Sean Connery. Black Sean Connery. But Keith is in Hawaii, and he'll be returning and be on Babylon 5 on Monday with Steven. And, of course, Steven is here. Where is Steven? There he is. He's got his new Like a Bantha logo. I'm going to put him center for a second. There we go. Check that out. His new logo, Like a Bantha. We can talk a little bit about our feelings on the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like a rancor.
I want to welcome all our friends. So, of course, Fat Steven is Keith's my partner in crime on this show. And are you even there, Steven?
Am I here?
Yeah, you are here.
Yes, I was just talking, sir. I'm sorry. I was getting at my Boba memes because you said you want to share feelings on Boba. And I was like, I'm on it. I got a bunch. I'm ready to go. I am ready.
Well, as soon as I introduce everybody, we're going to get into that, Steven.
I'm going to stay up here, though. No.
Our good friend, sorry, buddy. Deleted Scenes is here. And Deleted, you have your vertical phone today instead of horizontal. What's up with that shit?
Because my webcam is crap.
Oh, okay.
And if I try to turn it on in the middle of a live broadcast, I'm going to bounce myself out of StreamYard. So,
Gotcha. Well, I'm always glad when you're here, buddy. And then, of course, our good friend Viking at a Time from merry old England. And welcome, Viking.
Welcome. Thank you. Hurdy-gurdy, everyone.
Bork. And, of course, our showrunner, Kyle Zachs, is here.
Hold on. Stop
and I really do rely on
Viking,
him.
do you have permission to use that picture?
What picture?
Viking's picture. From the Tolkien Society. Yeah?
My picture.
Hey, I paid 18,000 euros for that. What are you doing, man?
Don't get us sued. No, I don't care. we don't have anything. So, and then of course our very good friend who is back, Script Doctor, is here today, and I'm so grateful because I fucking love this guy. I don't know if you saw it. There was some guy giving you shit in the comments one time, and I just kind of went at him.
That's
I'm like, some people don't like the truth. I don't care. They don't like the truth, and well, people that I find that dislike you dislike me for the same reason, which is we address things from a technical perspective, and they don't like that because they think that it should, because they like something, that it's good. And it's like, no,
I like lots of terrible stuff.
Oh yeah, I do too. But it doesn't make it good. What makes it good is a technical thing. And that is where people like you, Keith, and I do our breakdowns, which is we dig into it. And when we say it's garbage, we're not saying it because it's our opinion. We're saying it's garbage because that's what technically it is, because it did not meet these certain standards. That
like the Eternals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Gosh.
Like Star Trek Discovery.
Welcome back to the show, Script. I'm so glad you're here,
happy to be here. Happy to make it for you guys. I'm looking forward to the show topic. It's a good one.
Well, we got more than one because we did want to go over, before we get into the the Jim Steranko. Because Steranko has another thing that I always like, which is he did the my wife. Oh crap! Now I'll spend the next 2 weeks of Gary Pillow talking about Script Doctor. It's true. Yep. She does. I always talk. I talk about you all the time.
Sorry.
He literally mumbles your name in bed, and then he has like a weird avatar sticker.
I am one of the few people who knows Script's real name, and that's what I mumble.
Rosebud.
Sure.
But get cereal. Basically, we've got the Jim Steranko situation. Jim Steranko did the artwork for one of the covers for Blade Runner back in 1982, and he did the trade paperback, the small one that looked like a small novel, and that was his cover. And he did the insert cover for the trade paperback graphic novel size, because it was the full size one. And it's not great artwork for Blade Runner, but it's great artwork because he didn't know Blade Runner when he drew that, and he was drawing stuff from photos he saw, and he just did it real quick. And he's good when he's quick.
He knows.
But Steranko really hit a nail on the head this week, and it got Keith's attention, which put me on it. And I went and I read the whole thing, and I collected into one PDF to share with everybody. And also I put it into our private chat on Twitter. And I've got it pulled up right now. And I'm Keith, are you going to be reading this? Or
no.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah. You're better at it than I am. So
I can read it if you're sniffly.
Well, I
can do it like this the whole time.
You know what, Steven? Maybe you should do it.
Yeah, go ahead, Steven. I kind of like that voice. That's your Gary.
This stream is brought to you by Esmeralda. I do ASMR through my throat because that's where the smoking caused that hole.
Before we go,
Drake talking with Fat Steven Seagal.
So you really like Sean Connery then?
They call me Strep Throat.
Gosh, you need to spanking.
I got a question, Sean.
What if he actually was Steven Seagal and just sat there and rambled and you're not sure what he's talking about, and then maybe he'll just wave his hand around and people will fall.
I am a deity. You will respect my authority and the higher power. But Sean, I got a question for you. Why the hell did you play a Spaniard in Highlander?
Yeah, it's really weird. He chose that over playing the Highlander.
You're all weird.
I'm not really interested in playing that, but I want to play the Spaniard.
Welcome to She-Walk. May I take your order, please?
Which goes all the way back to...
Because I didn't understand it.
Was he originally Egyptian?
Highlander.
I did a stand-up comedy routine, spontaneous one, where I had this idea already in my head, and we were doing it was a Rude Mechanicals kind of thing where that audience suggests stuff, and we ended up doing a David Frost interview with Sean Connery. And I, of course, did Sean Connery, and a buddy of mine did David Frost interviewing him. And the whole thing was based on the fact that no matter what film it was, whether he played, what was it, Chief Fazuli, whatever it was in The Lion or The Wind and the Lion, you know, he's like, what really? You still sounded Scottish. Well, of course I did, you shilly git. I'm Scottish. Well, what made you an Arab? He says, well, I was wearing a turban. and every time he does that, when you played Ramius, you still sound Scottish. Of course you did. I did, you shilly puff. I'm Scottish. What made you Russian U-boat commander? And he says, I don't know. The haircut. You know, and everything goes into this, and everything is always about the haircut or the. And finally, he says, well, you're getting ready to do a new film with Michael Caine. What is it exactly? It's a sequel to Malcolm X. It's Malcolm X II. And then Frost makes a joke that that's actually a number, Roman number. And Sean Connery rebuffs it. And then he says, well, I don't understand. What is this film about? And he says, it's a sequel. I'm playing the part of Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. And Michael Caine is playing the part of Malcolm X. And he says, I'm sorry, sir, but you realize you're white and Scottish. Well, of course I am, but I'll be wearing a hairpiece.
Dear Lord.
It really did. It went over. And I'm like, I wrote that like pretty spontaneously on the spot. I came up with this whole joke based off of hair pieces. And I love Sean Connery. He's like one of my favorites.
What makes him American and the father of Indiana Jones then? The hat.
And they're so close in age in real life. They're really it's like within 10 years of each other, Harrison Ford.
Oh yeah, closer in age than Samuel Jackson and Richard
Roundtree.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just I don't know. Losing Sean Connery in 2021 was one of the devastating ones, but I think we've all been preparing for it. You know, once he left the limelight, and it's just like eventually we're going to get that news. Betty White dying just before midnight. You know,
Bob Saget.
Oh, fucking Bob Saget, dude. That was a shocker.
They still haven't revealed the cause of death yet. That's more strange.
Co-founder.
He was fucking an 18-year-old model.
Oh, geez.
Had a heart attack. That guy was a filthy bastard.
He did date very young women.
Yes, he did.
They were all adults and women, but yeah, they were young.
Spank my ass and call me Danny Tanner.
You know, he was great. You know, I mean, look at so many things he touched in our lives on television. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You open yourself up for that segment.
I know.
You know, the other thing though is
hold on. America's favorite videos.
Home video.
And he did, of course, the show. What was it called? Not Empty Nest. That was another show. What was it? His show called
Full House.
Full House. Didn't like it myself. I watched it occasionally when there was nothing else to watch, but he was funny. And so it's like you look at the part he played in our lives, and we lose him. And he was I thought he was a good director when he.
Yeah, he is actually, or was.
Well, for me, it was really losing Sidney Poitier. Because
big shocker. Yep, another big
shocker.
That
he, to me, in my personal view, was one of the few celebrities up there, if not a little bit over even Betty White, in so much as that the not just the length of career, but the things that he was able to accomplish, and the things that he was able to do both in his personal life. And in public life, and he always looked good doing it. I mean, you know, when I was little, that was the standard by which, you know, in my opinion, that's what Hollywood stars that look like me were doing. Mm-hmm. You know, you wore really good suits, you spoke very well, and you conducted yourself a certain way, and even though he hadn't really made too many movies in the last 20 years, you know, I still enjoyed every performance he ever gave. He always seemed to be someone that was giving it his all and seemed to have a very measured presence, as if, you know, he was still carrying the weight of the industry on him in a sense, you know. But wow, you know, to hear the announcement after Betty White that he had passed, that to me was the biggest shock. And
Keith,
so
thank you for grandstanding on this. It was really great.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now I'm going to get off the soapbox here.
There's going to be another funeral in the future, I'm guessing, and that's going to be Quantum Leap.
Well, you know, the thing that Quantum Leap. What really sucks about Sidney Poitier is, you know, he was one of those black actors that was accepted so readily by everyone, and he kind of was he paved the way for a lot of other black actors, in my opinion. I think that he led the way, and it opened doors for a lot of other black actors because of how successful he became. But Richard Pryor also made huge ground. Because I can't remember his name. God damn it. He was in The Watermelon Man, one of the best race issue movies that was ever made.
Godfrey Cambridge.
Godfrey Cambridge was the first controversial comedian actor of color that paved the way for others. And the person who went through the door next was Richard Pryor. And then also following him was Red Fox. And those two changed everything. And I don't think we would have had Eddie Murphy without those two.
Oh, of course. I think Sidney was able to, even direct Richard Pryor in a film.
Yes, he did.
I mean, Richard had a lot of respect for Sidney. And in fact, anyone who had come into the business after Sidney had a lot of respect for the guy.
Yep.
And I think was one of the few people that could probably get Bill Cosby to shut the F up and do it in a way without cursing, you know?
Yeah, I love that Eddie Murphy part where he's talking about how Bill Cosby was giving him shit, and he's talking to Richard Pryor. Tell that motherfucker to shut up.
Well, have a Coke and a smile and shut up.
Coke and a smile and shut up. It's hard to believe it, you know, because Bill Cosby, you know, as much as I've always liked him, I don't think he paved the way for anybody. You know?
Oh, he did. He did. His brand of comedy, especially, you know, from a man of color. You have to understand that for many people, to be black and funny meant that you had to be a fool. You had to not be above putting yourself out there and looking ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is something you and I talked about the other day, because the black actors previous to that, the best known was the actor who played Rochester. And he was in some of the early, what's his name? Chan, not Jackie Chan, the detective.
Yeah, Charlie Chan.
Charlie Chan, yeah.
And he was the big-eyed, boss.
Yeah,
character, you know, but even he still paved the way, you know.
Yes, but it was observational humor, and that wasn't something that a lot of black comedians were known for, let alone getting.
They were known for being slapstick and comedy. The comedy was usually out of fear.
Either out of fear or talking about relatives and stuff in a way that was very accepting for white audiences to listen to.
Yeah, and I see how Bill Cosby did change that with his comedy, and but it definitely, by the time the 70s hit, Red Fox and Richard Pryor exploded onto the scene, and it changed everything. And Red Fox, because I don't know if people even watch Red Fox's stand-up.
Oh, geez.
I had one of his albums, thanks to my buddy Vic Armstrong. I told you I grew up in the black community, so I got access to a lot of cool shit. And I would listen to Red Fox, and he did this scene. He says, where I would go onto a subway and I would just laugh and point at ugly people. He said, I did this all the time until some lady did it back to me. And then it wasn't funny anymore.
His comedy was such that I think Red Fox was right up there with Buddy Hackett. Those two guys could be some of the dirtiest guys.
Blue. People see Buddy Hackett in the movies and go, "Oh, he's so sweet."
Yeah.
My grandmother made the mistake of going to see him do comedy.
Oh, geez.
He was opening for Don Rickles, and
Mr. Warmth.
And she was traumatized from that because she didn't expect Don Rickles to go blue, and he did. And it's just like she goes, I couldn't laugh. I couldn't laugh. I was so aghast. And I'm like, you survived, Grandma. You made it. But let's move into it because I know Stephen pulled something up. This week we've been dealing with. Oh boy, and I'm going to want to get SnoDub's opinion on this too.
Memes. There we go. This is my best one yet. Almost 900 likes, almost 200 retweets. The day of premiere, and
of course, what went through my mind was the Rangers. Oh, that's funny. I like that one.
I like the Expos.
You got some more? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it reminded me more of the Power Rangers. Oh, that's funny. I just thought it just kind of fell flat for me. I just looked at that and I'm like, you're on Tatooine. You should be explaining why it's so colorful.
Why is there no sand damage from the winds? Everything. There would be some type of erosion.
They were stolen that night. That's why they were stolen that night.
But they couldn't afford water.
Vespa's in space, yeah.
it's Vespa Fets.
It's like the most famous one.
Now look, I defend this. If Han Solo can have fucking dice hanging from his cockpit, this can happen. But I just thought it was a weird choice without any explanation.
See, there is. Sorry,
they don't drive that fast.
No,
oh,
there's
they're
another
slow
thing.
as fuck. That chase scene had the energy of watching two old people. Keith, I can hear you breathing into my fucking ears, brother.
There is something else that's cool with that chasing, Gary. If people notice the paint job for the Woody Harrelson wannabe, it was actually the same paint job color scheme from the White Witch from the Droids cartoon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I found the whole thing a little silly, but at the same time, look, Star Wars is about merchandising. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be something to sell. I just thought the episode lacked energy. It had almost no fucking energy.
Nope.
Oh, and I really should take a minute to say hello to everybody in the chat. So let's go. Let's say hi to everybody. We got Brandon in the chat. The Dork Knight. Sox is here. Das Wolfen is here.
Das Wolfen.
Courtney is here. Hi, Courtney.
Hello, Courtney.
The Dork Knight, of course. And my wife, Dean, is lingering in the background somewhere while working. And let's see who else is here. Of course, Kyle. Oh, Lord Thoth is here. Lord, what is up, man? Thoth is cool. See, there's Socks. And of course, Brandon is on the show. I mean, SnoDub was on the show, so we don't have to show that. Let's see what else we got. Martin Acosta Santana.
Hello, Martin.
And Channel 66 is here. What is up?
66.
Oh man, next week I'm hoping to feel a lot better than I do right now. And Memes of Destruction is here, and I just heard somebody join us. Who is here? Oh, the Dork is here. There he is. The Dork Knight.
Hey.
I'd like to give a shout out to the Cotton Connection members in the chat there. Hail Cotton Connection. Much love.
Nice. Trying to see. I don't want to miss it. Oh, lovely Sherry is here. What is up, Sherry? Ian Shirley.
Oh, Sherry.
Hey, guys.
Echo Bass. Echo Bass.
Echo Bass.
I'm not sure. Is that Coach? Who is that?
Probably not. Coach doesn't get online as much.
Let's see. Means of destruction. I already mentioned.
It's usually Nick.
Yep. And welcome everybody in the chat. We appreciate you all being here. And we'll get. It's Nick. It's Nick.
Yep.
What's up, Nick? And Nick, you're always welcome to join us. You're part of our chat group now, so you can always click that link and join us. We love having all the opinions on here because we're going to get, just for a few minutes, we're going to talk about Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett. And let's get into what our pet peeves are and what we do like about it. Let's start with SnoDub.
Okay. Well, I'm glad Echo Base is here. Well, at least half, Nick's here. But me and Echo Base, after episode 2, came out and attacked Book of Boba Fett, and we both hated that episode.
The new one or the first one? Let's talk about all three.
Okay, well, the first one was okay for me. I enjoyed the Sarlacc.
I think it's the one we all wanted. It's what we wanted.
Yeah, it seemed okay. I was in at that point. I was like, all right, let's see where this goes. But then episode 2 came around, and I didn't tune into this to find out about Sand People. I just didn't. I don't care. I don't like them. I'm on Anakin's side when it comes to how I feel about Sand People.
Wow.
They're just animals. Slaughter them.
Jesus.
But yeah, no, I don't care.
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, Obi-Wan, kind of portrayed them as animals in the very first Star Wars movie when he's like, oh, they scare easily, but they come back in numbers. That's how you talk about a pack of dogs, not people. And now they're trying to, symbolize these things as humanistic, whatever.
Well, they would be the equivalent to what do they call that when you're from the land?
A native.
Not native. It's another word.
Indigenous.
Indigenous. They would be an indigenous sentient creature because they use weapons, and including firing weapons. So, but they frighten easily. They travel in lines to hide their numbers. So he kind of also says they're intelligent because they choose to do that to hide their numbers. So they're mysterious creatures. And so I see an opportunity as a writer. Script. Do you agree with me here? There's an opportunity to do something with that. You have almost a blank canvas. All you know is this little bit about this creature. And we don't know why Shmi was killed. Or how she ended up in their possession, other than they stole her or whatever, kidnapped her. I don't know what happened. I still don't know.
We know very little about the Tuskens from the films, and we don't know much about their culture, so there's definitely room for exploration.
Yeah.
But these are not the voices needed for that, and not with the Book of Boba Fett, in my opinion.
I think he overdoes it.
She was tied to a pole and beat up with blood on her face. I mean, you gotta understand and recognize that she was not treated well.
Yeah. They are, and I think that what they're trying to do is they're creating them into a mixture of two different things. They represent the Bedouins, which is a real Stone Age type tribe in the Middle East. And then, of course, there's also connections to American Indians in it with some of the tribes that we've had here, because not all the tribes got along. There was a lot of violence between them. And, there were tribes in this country that were very territorial. And so I think there's connections to that. I think they're trying to humanize it maybe a little too much.
It's not Earth. It's not planet Earth. It's Tatooine. It's
Tatooine.
It's a galaxy far, far away. A lot of people tend to forget that.
So I think they're trying to humanize them a little too much. But at the same time, I thought it was something worth looking into. I think the flashbacks are becoming a little bit
redundant.
Much. Well, it's like you get 14 minutes in one episode, and the rest of the episode is nothing but flashback.
Well, it is called the Book of Boba Fett. They're just trying to give some context.
You don't do it that way, though.
How do you do it?
You start with the present story, because the present story is what's important. It's active.
Yeah,
if you wanted to do the Book of Boba Fett and you wanted to talk about his journey to the with the Sand People, we would not see him being the Daimyo of
and what you do is
Tatooine.
you go back then when there are moments and you flash back for a little bit on something that has a direct impact on what's going on in the current timeline.
Well, there needs to be a correlation to it. So, for instance, if there's like, we're in Mos Espa and they're being raided by Sand People, and Boba Fett's charged with protecting the city, and then all of a sudden he meets a Sand person that he's familiar with, that can justify a flashback and for a potential. But just to do it for the sake of doing it, it feels empty and hollow and more like chewing up scenery as opposed to
and that's
expanding
where I
on the
feel
story.
the back to tank has become this device now.
It's a MacGuffin pretty annoying.
And it's a device, and script knows I hate devices. I think that is Deus Ex Machina. It doesn't flow. Devices don't flow.
Favorite words or phrases, the Deus Ex Machina.
We're missing the inspiration for these nightmares and dreams. That's the other part too.
There you go.
I felt no emotions when they died on this last episode. I had no emotional investment in them at all.
Wow, I don't know. I thought I was like, damn, he goes through all this. He gets a new family, because I kind of thought the way the story was going to go in the present day was he was going to call on those Tusken Raiders.
That's what I thought was going to happen too.
But
it's like
no way that's going to happen now.
There's one thing though that we're I don't know if you guys even thought about it this way. It's the fact that he caused this whole Tusken camp death by bringing it into the whole pikes, the bikes, and now the death. But we haven't seen all the bodies. We still don't know where the little one is. So he's burning the sticks, but we don't know. But the other thing
they showed the little one. They didn't show the little one. I could
they didn't show the female.
Boba apologizing. Apologizing. Can we just put a little forefront on
the strong female lives? That's all that's important.
Well, and this particular storytelling device and mistake is also what I had a problem with Hawkeye for, because of the direction that they chose and what they did with that particular story, in giving a little bit of a bait and switch in calling the series Hawkeye, and only having a knowledge, if you don't know the comics, of Clint Barton as this character, and to begin it all and to predicate and to have everything sit on the shoulders of Kate from beginning to end, and to have Clint as sort of the side character to all of that is really something that didn't make Hawkeye all that good to me. It wasn't bad. I've seen bad, but it could have been a whole lot better.
Hawkeye was probably my favorite of the Disney Plus series from them. So
I'm pretty
I enjoyed it too. But I actually agree with Keith here, because look, man, if you're gonna have a backstory, we wanted his.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have found a way of allowing his backstory to be the reason why he didn't want to train her, to also explain why he doesn't do that with his kids. He still hasn't really trained his kids to do a lot of the things that he does. And if you only go based on what you've seen with the character in the MCU, there's this thing that a lot of Marvel fans are doing where they're saying, well, he's this guy and he went to a dark place and now he's back and he doesn't want to do that anymore. The thing is, he was trained to be in that dark place. That's how he met Natasha. He was sent to kill her, not recruit her. And so you don't send somebody that isn't capable of doing something. When you first see Clint in the MCU, the first thing he's going to do is kill Thor.
Yeah.
That's what he was supposed to do. And
Keith, I don't know if you noticed this in your interpretations of the shows and all that, but I get the sensation that everything that Disney Plus is creating right now, including, of course, the Book of Boba Fett and Hawkeye, is sort of generic, that follows something of a similar formula all the time, time and time again, which makes me think that it's all just studio mandated to, get some merchandise out there. And
this goes back to what Keith and I have been talking about, is welcome to the world of corporate studio
entertainment. Yeah.
Well, not only that, what is Disney's long-term demographic market target audience? It's children. It's always been children.
And and here's
And they're
the
manipulating
thing
these things for children.
Here's the thing that cracks me up, because I actually I recall saying something in the chat while watching Echo Base about this, is that Disney bought Marvel specifically for the boys, because they have no trouble keeping the girls.
That's what I said when
into adulthood, that because Disney is beloved by girls worldwide. And so they bought Marvel for that. And then Iger saw the opportunity to buy Star Wars, which definitely also has a built-in male fan base, a majority of male. You can say that, oh, we know there are girls. We know that. But it's a bulk of male fans. And that Disney saw the opportunity to collect male fans and find a way to keep them in the seats. And then what do they do immediately?
Well, they don't know how to sell the boys, but they know how to sell the girls. So
they know how to sell girls, so they immediately
audience.
turn everything back to the girls again.
Yeah, because they do what they know, which is sell the women.
Which is what I refer to as shitting in the bed.
Which is what they do because they are used to that, so they go back to their comfortable zone. The thing here is that they promised, and I remember this quite vividly, that in 2009 they promised they were not going to mess around with Marvel and they were going to let it go and let it be. I knew that was not going to be the case precisely because of what you are saying, because they are trying to appeal to a demographic that is no longer that was the comic book consumer, the regular comic book consumer from the early 2000s and even from the 90s and all that. So then they have changed the target demographic of Marvel because they want to appeal to what they always appeal, so that's what creates this sort of hollow and soulless sort of entertainment that we have right now from them. And I think that Book of Boba Fett just fits into that right well. It's soulless at certain levels,
Yeah, and I agree with Echo Base. The Force is female, and all of your misogyny is wrong right here, and I'm going to side with that.
Disney pulled an Amber Heard shit in the bed. That's right. I don't often put things in, but I'm going to say it right here. I don't know about you guys. I'm very pro Johnny Depp and very much not in Amber Heard's.
Agreed. And I'm going to admit this publicly, but as someone who's been on the receiving end of domestic abuse, and
I've been there too, brother,
was the one that got in trouble and blamed and all this. Like, it's bullshit, man. I hate how people just automatically assume it's the guy. I mean, sometimes women are.
It's not.
It's just and like when you call like these like, because I've done it before. Like I literally could hear somebody holding back their laugh when I called to try to report domestic abuse on me. So it's just like, why bother?
Yeah, the misogyny is out there, man.
Trust me.
I just watched Peacock's new series, Wolf in Me.
How was that?
Look, man, it should have been a movie. It shouldn't have been a 6-part miniseries. I enjoyed it for the most part, but it was really long in the tooth. And anybody who's seen it knows that that's a joke, but it's also true because it was really long in the tooth. I figured out what it was about just by the name. A Wolf Like Me. Wolf Like Me is the name of the show. And I'm not going to give away the ending, but it's really not that significant. Plot twist. I think that the title of the show gives it away, what the end of it is. And it is kind of like, if it was in the wrong hands, it would become the new Bewitched.
Wow.
And I'm not going to say, because it's like, let's make this into a regular show. It'll be Bewitched. And I could see stupid execs coming up with that as an idea. But I did like the fact that the ending is horror. And it's fucking awesome. But the beginning, I almost couldn't make it through it. Because the first few minutes of the episode is him on a date with a person who is a psychological abuser and a master gaslighter. And where they have to manage the narrative of what's happening, and they have to tear you down. And the whole thing is this woman doing this to him. And I've had people try to do this to me.
What is this? What do you mean by this? What is this?
The opening of Wolf Like Me.
I haven't seen it, so I'm sorry.
Watch the first 5 minutes. If you've been in domestic abuse, you will fucking be triggered like I was.
Oh shit!
It triggered me, and I almost stopped it because it was causing me stress watching it.
What's this on? You said Peacock?
It's on Peacock, and it's free, so you can watch it.
See,
I have Peacock.
I can relate to the domestic stuff because I was in a relationship for 6 years like that. Like, I got a scar over my eye where she whipped the remote at my head. It was constant. I love you, but I don't respect. All that. It was mental and sometimes physical. And it wears on you.
They prey on the fact that men are stolid creatures by nature, and they rely on that. That we won't, that we'll take it like a man, and they rely on that. And that's how you get men into abusive relationships, is you get a guy who's used to being a guy, and they're afraid to talk about these things. We just don't do it.
Or when we do, we get laughed at.
Or we get mocked, laughed at. Our friends don't take us seriously. Whatever, dude. And then we just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And so I never talked about it for years, and I never thought it was abuse until I realized that it had an impact on me, to where it impacted how I have relationships.
Yeah. What bothered me, so I got, she literally gave me a black eye. This was during a vacation that was supposed to be on my birthday, and this was only a year or two ago. And and I took a picture of it because it was legit. And we were with friends, and she was, and everybody was asleep, and she was drunk and whatever. And then the next morning, everybody's like, "What the hell happened to your eye?" And we told them, and then everybody laughed and thought it was funny. But had the roles been reversed, the cops would have been called. That's what blew my mind.
Oh shit! Hold on a second. I got to post this. I missed this one. Did I just walk into a male TV?
Oh God!
No, but it's a real thing. Look, domestic abuse with men does happen. It happens in a very subtle way, and it's not something. We're getting your mic again, Keith. Is that windy?
Is it windy? Yeah, it sounds like windy.
Yeah, it's windy. Hold
on. I changed my mic setup, by the way. Do I sound the same, or does it sound worse?
No, it sounds good. You sound
okay.
You sound okay. You sound
and I suspect one of us definitely has never been in one. Script has this great relationship, and so he's listening to us going, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about.
Oh yeah, I get out of toxic relationships pretty quick.
Yeah, I learned to spot them, and I used to not listen to. When it came to women, with people, I listened to the red flag going off in my head, the alarms. Get the fuck away from this person. They're insane. When it came to women, I wouldn't listen to it, and it caused me so many problems. I finally learned to listen. And I've gotten out of dates really quickly. And I do what's referred to as emotional pinging people. I do it to people, not just women. And I say things that are meant to trigger specific things in them. And if I spot anything when I'm talking to somebody in our very first conversation, every single one of you, I've done it to you. Every one of you in this chat, I've done it to you in our conversations. And it's what led to our friendship. And I ping you to see if you're fucking going to be a good person to be friends with, or if this is going to be problematic down the line.
Is this some NLP shit you're talking about, or?
Well, I learned how to cold read when I was younger.
Okay.
And when I was 18, I learned how to cold read. And I had grown up in an abusive home, and I had learned to read people. And my sister Luann and I are the two with the best skill at it. And we could get the fuck out of a room very quickly when we knew shit was going down, even before other people realized shit was going down. In the military, guys would laugh going, man, I would get us out of a bar. We would be out of a bar. I'm like, we got to go. And they're like, what? And then a fucking fight erupts. And they're like, holy shit, how did you know that? I'm like, I read people the way barometers read pressure. I read people, and I get vibes off people. And I'm what's referred to as a true empath. We're not psychic. We just know how to read people.
I envy that skill, you know.
And it saved
Should have
me
been a
so
mentalist,
many
mate.
fucking times in my adult life. And as a kid, it saved me too. And plus, I learned how to cold read. I was taught by none other than the amazing Randy how to do cold reading. And I was working with Ron and Judy Miller, and we pulled a stunt at Mary Washington College in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where I was a European. I think I was from Yugoslavia. I played the part of this psychic, and all these people came in. It filled this auditorium, and I sat there and I did all these things that I learned how to do, cold reading and doing psychic tricks. And by the end of it, it was revealed that I was a phony. I was from Fredericksburg, that the accent was fake. And people got up, and half the audience got up and fucking left. They were so angry. But we were trying to prove how you will dismiss all the incorrect shit that I say and accept that small percentage of correct shit with psychics. And that was what it was all about, was proving how people are duped so easily by psychics.
Well, you know, I wonder if that's something that Jim Steranko could use.
Yeah, and it's a good segue. Thanks, Keith. Because we're now going into the last half of the show. So let's get into Jim Steranko. And you're going to go ahead and read this, right, Stephen?
Yes, I will read this like Smokerella.
There we go. This is going to be great.
This stream is sponsored by DeMaurier and Radiology.
Radiology. And I'm going to
love that department.
Can you do Mickey Mouse?
Not screw Mickey Mouse. Hi, Purple. Oh, man, I wish I was in that room sharing that with you right now.
As far as
me too, man.
Females and relationships go, I love women, but I cannot stand bitches. So if you ever want to, sorry, I didn't mean to make you choke there, buddy. But if you ever want to hear my background, all you got to do is listen to some SnoDub music. Check out songs like Tuck and Roll.
Amen. Crisco and
even because Deanne gets under stress and stuff, and it has it's stuff going on, and she will get loud. And she will tell you, I get very fucking quiet, and I just go off, and I go by myself because I don't like escalation. I like speaking on a calm level, and if I can't have a calm conversation with someone, I don't want to have a conversation with them, and I walk away. And I know people get frustrated by that. I know Deanna gets frustrated by it, but that's just because of all the shit I've been through. Hi, Squeaka.
Hey.
So we're going to move into the latter part of this, which is we're going to be discussing Jim Steranko. And I'm looking for a really good image from Jim. And God, I love that guy. He is one of a handful of comic book pros who actually had an impact on me as an artist. Even though I do work in the comic industry, most of the artists that I was inspired by worked in comics, but they weren't comic artists. They were illustrators. Frank Frazetta, Al Williamson, Bernie Wrightson. Yes, they worked in comics, but that wasn't their primary thing. Doing illustration was. And
can I ask you a question? I'm just curious. I don't mean to interrupt to break your thought, but me growing up, maybe it's because of my age, like I was a huge Eric Larson, Todd McFarlane guy. What are your thoughts on those?
I'm older.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's all it is.
Okay.
I get Todd McFarlane, even though I'm not a fan of McFarlane's Spider-Man work. I loved what he did on Spawn. The only thing he gave us for Spider-Man was the spaghetti webs. I think what he did with the spider webs is fucking great.
We also did the crazy anatomically incorrect poses.
Crazy poses that made no sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of it.
Okay.
But I love what he did with Spawn. And Spawn, I'm a big fan of his work on Spawn.
How about Eric? And I'm so sorry to derail your thought.
No.
How about Eric Larson? Did you enjoy his Savage Dragon or Spider-Man better, or indifferent?
Indifferent.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm classic Spider-Man stuff. It's like I was just talking yesterday about. Oh my God, I just forgot his name. Worked on the X-Men in the 70s, and eventually went to DC to work on Superman.
John Byrne.
John Byrne. And I said, just outspoken as usual. I said I couldn't stand a fucking thing that John Byrne did at DC. I hated it. His Superman was just garbage. I fucking hated it. But what he did when he was at Marvel, he was amazing. And he had a very anime way of drawing. And I thought it was cool. The person I was talking to agreed and said, yeah. And I went, yeah, because I loved anime as a kid, and I transitioned into comic books, and John Byrne really filled that niche for me with X-Men. But in the 70s, though, I transitioned quickly to DC once I started reading serious Batman, once it wasn't silly anymore, and got into the detective. And I've never been that big of a Marvel guy other than Spider-Man and Daredevil. And past that, even the X-Men didn't interest me that much. Later on,
read.
But because I remember reading the one that the X-Men movie was based on, where it was dealing with a mixture of race and any group that's ever been subjected, and I got that through the thing, and where they focused on Eric again, and it was a good. I thought it was a good comic run. But I still wasn't that big a fan. And I quit reading Marvel in particular in '86 because of the Secret Wars. As good as it was, it pissed me off what they did, the marketing.
What did you think about the crossover that McFarlane did with Spider-Man with the X-Men?
Oh, that was really good.
Yeah. Okay.
That was really good. Like, I mean, this is good comics, And when I say I quit reading, I quit buying them. And I would just go to, and Jim Woodward knows this, one of my best friends. He and I would just go to 7-Eleven and we'd hit the comic turnstile and just start fucking reading. And the people in the store, they knew us. They just didn't give a shit. Sometimes we'd buy. Most of the time, we would just read right there and then put it back in the shelf.
I used to be the what did he call me? Internet marketing manager, which is whatever, some BS title for Cosmic Comics out here in Vegas, which is the biggest comic shop in Nevada. And we used to kick people out who would do that. They would just come in and never buy a damn thing and read.
Well, the comic shops would do that.
Yeah.
The comic shops, you did not fucking do that. You're allowed to stand there and open the book for a few seconds, and they're watching you.
Yeah. No, yeah.
When we got our first comic shop, Jim and I tried to pull that shit, and it's like, if you're going to read it, put it down or buy it.
Right.
Okay. So, we were forced to buy it a lot because of that shit.
But 7-Eleven didn't give a shit.
7-Eleven, because he worked at 7-Eleven, so he knew most of the staff.
Oh, okay.
And so they just didn't give a shit. We just go in there and buy. We buy stuff. We weren't there for free. We'd buy Slurpees and some snacks, and then occasionally there would be a comic that got our attention, and then we would kick it on the curb out front, and
they still be getting their money.
And yeah, they got their money. And they didn't want you loitering. That's all 7-Eleven. They didn't want you loitering. And I miss those days because you just don't have that anymore. The 7-Elevens or the convenience stores with the comic turnstile or carousel.
Yeah, I haven't seen one of those in years. But when I was a kid, I remember.
I only see it in specialty shops, and they're old. They're not new. They're old.
I think it might be because Vegas has got so many freaking comic book shops. I mean, we really do. We got 13.
Well, it's nerd heaven there, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nerd stuff going on there, and there's excuse my saying it, but there's lots of tits and ass there, and nerds are big fans of tits and ass.
Right. Just look at how they draw women in comics.
It's the one thing they got right in Revenge of the Nerds,
or in most Steranko work.
Steranko work.
So
that's Keith trying to get us back on track.
Thank you. Sorry.
Which is, Jim Steranko went on. I don't want to call it a tirade. I do not want to call it a tirade because it was well thought out and it was well said.
It was a question.
Yeah. So let's go with it, Stephen.
It's not a tirade, mate, because he does this thing. Every Sunday he does this thing where he tells stories, and they are stories in the end. So I think that he's just enlightening on the dark side, as he called it, of the comic book industry.
I get the article.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I do apologize. Because I can start reading now. I'll be script doctor, PhD, Gary, line, co-host, Pop Culture Minefield. Keith, co-host, Pop Culture Windfield. Viking, Tolkien, some dude. SnoDub. Zax, Deleted Scenes, and Dork Knight LB.
Your avatar is really confusing my brain right now. I just want you to know that because I looked up.
My eyes are up here.
And I was like, boobs. And then I was like, oh, God, goatee. What happened? Sorry, go ahead.
So
okay.
I put up a picture of Steranko.
What am I reading?
What I posted.
The thing from the Twitter thing, that long.
Yeah.
Oh, in the group. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, give me 1 second, because then I would have actually brought it up because I was. Hold on a second. Holy crap! Holy crap! What did I sucker myself into?
Yeah, I was going to read it.
Here we go.
I was going to read it.
Here we go. Here is a collection of Jim Steranko's posts on Twitter from January 9th, 2022. This is punishment. Greetings, henchmen. Hope you managed to elude the oppressive weather forecast of freezing rain and icy temperatures. I could be creating some hot imagery instead of scraping the cold crust off my car. Who do we lodge a complaint to? If you want Eisner, I'd have to reverse my premise because he's not someone I'd like to hang out with. You're surprised? TFB, but I'll tell you anyway. That means too fucking bad. When I was a kid, my family was so poor they could only afford the NY Sunday News because it cost a dime. Other Sunday papers with bigger comic sections cost 50 to 20 cents. Out of the question. But none of the Philly papers I knew of featured the spirit section. So the few times I saw it, it was during visits to my out-of-town relatives. God, I love them. I was unfamiliar with the spirit growing up, only really discovering the quality comics sometime in the 50s. Nothing special. The spirit sections, however, were somewhat different, and I discovered a box full of them at dealer Phil Suling Connie's Island apartment. Very interesting. So, when I decided to create the history of comics a few years later, I included the spirit in the historic newspaper strip mix, deciding to give it a chapter in V2. If I could snare the rights to reprint an entire story! ! Hold on, I gotta keep scrolling, and my throat's getting kind of like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, you can switch to your normal voice now.
I phoned Will Eisner, explained my plan to feature the spirit, in addition to the fact that I'd sold 50,000 V1 History of Comics copies. Eisner must have wanted the coverage and approved. I discovered later he had an ulterior motive. I began researching the spirit sections rigorously and ultimately scheduled an interview with Eisner in his downtown NYC offices. I had many questions to ask Eisner because he was not really in the comic book field, so we spent an afternoon discussing the characters and the newspaper inserts history. Scrolling, sorry. To establish the consummate data on who wrote, drew, penciled, inked, and colored the spirit section, I asked Eisner point blank, who assisted you on the strip? Without hesitation, and for the record, he told me he could not remember anyone assisting him on the series, except the letterer, Abe Kenigson. Is that right? Kenigson?
Yep.
Eisner miraculously forgot the name of every writer and artist who worked on the spirit section for 12 years. Bizarre. He forgot Jack Cole.
It's humanly impossible, by the way, to do that.
He forgot Jack Cole, Lou Fine, Jerry Grandinetti, Jim Dixon, Jules Pfeiffer, Al Wenzer, Reed Crandall, John Spranger, Sam Rosen, Chuck Kramer, Bernard Bailey, Nick Carty, Don Perlin, August Froelich, Bob Kane, Alex Coster, Jack Kirby, Mort Meskin, Bob Powell, Robin King. Jesus Christ, there's more names. Did he name up the whole names? What is this?
These are some. You're saying names, by the way, that a lot of us fucking know.
Yeah, that's a lot of names. As I go on, George Tuska, Bernard Dibble, Fred Gardenier, Johnny Craig. I was going to say Johnny Cage for some reason. I don't know why. Manny Stallman, Mort Drucker, Angelo Torres, John Belfi, Dave Berg, Gene Bilbrew, Tex Blaisdell, Alex Kotsky, Tony Bloom, Chris Christensen, Martin Delmuth, Jack Keller, Fred Kita, Robin King, Don Commissaro. Is that right? Commissaro. Alex.
Jump in and correct if you hear a name mispronounced.
Yeah, I'm trying here, bro. Like, there's a lot of vowels in this sentence.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Thank you. Alexander Kostuk, Joe Kubert, Andre LeBlanc, my bad, Marilyn Mercer, Klaus Nordling, Ben Olda, Don Perlin, he said that twice already, Sam Schwartz, Manly Wade Wellman, William Woolfolk, and others, including Wallace Wood. Damn, bro got memory.
Otherwise known as Wallywood.
Oh, Wallywood. All right, Wallywood. I like that. Eisner made me and you accomplices in his campaign of lies and deception to steal the accomplishments of dozens of famous and obscure creators. Surprise you? Keep reading. Eisner claims to have created the Spirit Section concept, but Quality Comics owner Everett Busy Arnold told me it was totally his concept. He's been in the printing business previously. And one he pitched and sold the Detroit Register and Tribune Syndicate, not Eisner. I pegged Arnold as a straight-up guy, and he revealed he'd recruited quality staffer George Brenner to handle the 16-page inserts content. So, the artist created The Clock, a masked detective part Sherlock Holmes, part Shadow. Awesome. I own a copy of The Clock section. However, Brenner felt he could not write, pencil, and ink a story a week, every week, so Eisner volunteered for the job. In a letter to me, Arnold confirmed that Eisner had no claim to the character or the concept during his entire life, and that he received a phone call from Eisner in the 1960s saying Eisner, might have some use for the character. And Arnold, having no interest in further production of the Spirit Section and always generous to a fault, gave ownership of it to Eisner. That's the kind of guy Arnold was. In my investigation of the spirit manifestations, I never caught Arnold in a single elaboration, quite the opposite from Will Eisner. Damn. When DC Comics sued Eisner and Fox Feature Syndicate for copyright infringement in the 1939 lawsuit against their Superman imitation Wonder Man, the first superhero comics plagiarism case, Eisner apparently admitted ripping off Superman and ended the trial in a victory for DC. In subsequent interviews, Eisner always maintained that his integrity was more important to him than financial gain. I don't think so at all. However, after Eisner's death, a transcript of the court case was investigated by Ken Quattro of the blog site The Comics Detective, who had discovered that Eisner had overtly lied during the trial, claiming Wonder Man was his original creation. Jerry Siegel revealed to me in a face-to-face discussion in his LA department that he and Joe Shuster had submitted Superman samples to Eisner and his sweatshop partner, Jerry Iger, previous to their DC agreement. However, Eisner rejected the pitch, but plagiarized the Superman concept to concoct Wonder Man for Fox, then lied about it for decades afterwards to anyone who would listen.
Let's pause for a second.
Okay.
Does anybody have the feeling of a red wedding here? There's a lot of throats being slit in this rant.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just Will Eisner's.
No, yeah, but it's also, I mean, it's something that has been confirmed before. Like, everyone knows that Eisner and his partner turned Siegel and Schuster down. Eisner himself admitted it in a documentary, and then he stole the thing, yeah.
Yeah, we knew about some of that. But this is just fascinating because I have for years as a professional artist run into pro-Eisner people. I mean, you get the Will Eisner Award, which, I was up for a nomination on that, and I'm glad I didn't get the nom for Code Word Geronimo, because I wouldn't have accepted the award.
I actually got the opportunity to I worked with Maximum Comics. This was back in 2011, I believe, and they got nominated for the first time. It was their first nomination for a Will Eisner Award for, like, I can't remember, like Best Comic Book Shop or something like that.
Right.
And I got to make a video with them and work with them on that whole process. They didn't win, but it was cool, But I didn't know any of this any of this stuff. So it sounds like
this. Some of this is new to me.
Okay.
Some of this is new to me. So I'm sorry, Stephen. Let's get back into it.
It's okay. Additionally, Eisner claimed to have created the long-running quality comic series Black Hawk. When I confronted artist Chuck Cudera, hope I'm saying that right, personally with the claim, he responded like he's been slapped in the face. If that cheap son of a bitch were here now, I straight him out on the matter for all time, Cudera blistered. I created Black Hawk and his crew, and Bob Powell fleshed it out when he scripted the first adventure. We worked together in the Eisner and Iger shop, and I wrote and drew the first year's worth of Black Hawk stories without a line of Eisner input before I went into the service. My old friend Gil Fox had a somewhat different take on the former sweatshop boss. I wouldn't turn my back on that penny-pinching deadbeat, he confirmed in his Connecticut studio home. Back in the 70s, Eisner invited a group of his old staffers, including Fred Gardenier, Alex Kotsky, and Klaus Nordling, for a reunion at one of the Manhattan's most upscale restaurants, the Four Seasons. Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing when I see that. Gil Fox continued, Eisner was holding court at the head of the table as usual, and while dessert was being served, he began talking about how Stan Lee and Marvel were making millions on the superhero ideas we invented decades ago, that we should be reaping the rewards. Suddenly, we began to get the picture. He'd be the editor, and we'd be his associates. Share and share alike. We almost puked. Every damned one of us. We'd rather get cancer than be under his heel again. Love it. His pitch tanked big time. No more scumbag promises and slave labor wages. But we were wrong. Eisner excused himself to make a short phone call. And 10 minutes later, when the matron handed us the bill, Eisner was nowhere to be found. He'd split and fucked us one last time. Wow, what a dick. In 1978, Eisner published A Contract with God, what she loudly touted as the first graphic novel, sometimes even claiming he created the term. Fanboys and the media all alike echoed his claims, but they were all duped in typical Eisner fashion. My old pal and Long Beach CA book dealer Richard Kyle, a guy I loved hanging out with, had coined the term graphic novel in print years earlier. Contract with a God was a collection of 4 short stories, not a novel, in classic comic book form, featuring small consecutive panels of images using outline drawings around all figures and objects and employing word balloons for dialogue. That sounds like a comic book. The dictionary definition of a novel is a narrative work of fiction that relates to a story about human experiences over considerable length. No panels, no outline drawings, no balloons, not a fat comic book. In 1976, I created Red Tide, which may be the first modern graphic novel. The innovative format combined words and images with simplicity and sophistication in a single story. Featured chapters throughout, complex plot and character development, and in 128 pages, not a bunch of comic books bound together. Hold on a second. I'm getting it there. All right. The images and text on all pages are consistently composed on a tight 2-to-1 grid that configured the visual content into perfect square, the ideal shape sanctioned by the human mind and eye. Counter to most comic books, the challenging narrative philosophy embraced in Red Tide demanded that the drama, tension, and action occur inside the frame, exactly like the movie screen, and not to be dependent upon the capricious panel shapes and sizes. Perhaps the only concession, if it even qualifies, was in showcasing key scenes as doable page spreads, not unlike widescreen epics. The illustrations, approximately 200, were rendered and penciled to achieve the effect of hard and soft edges, suggesting the dramatic black and white images of the great noir cinematographers. The first modern graphic novel, you decide. May I remind you again that the Butler Museum in Ohio will be exhibiting almost 70 of my paintings, guessing few henchmen have seen them all, beginning in March 2022. And there will be a Meet the Artist soiree, one weekend yet to be chosen in April. Hope you can join me there. One last point. Is anyone out there seriously interested in an almost complete run of Prince Valiant's Sunday newspaper pages? My collection, created by Hal Foster in 1937 and beginning on 2/13/37? Drop me a line at previewmag.com and we'll discuss them. Deepest gratitude to henchmen everywhere for enduring another night of historic insights in the darkest corners of the pop culture universe. Until we connect next, be smart, be safe, be cool. The end.
I love Steranko, man. He is just the shit.
What was
the
that
entirety
from?
of his January. That was his entire January 29th post. What he does is he writes it out and then he starts posting each one after the other. Until it's all
just
done.
on like where at though? Like Twitter?
On
Does
Twitter.
he have a-
On Twitter?
Yeah, it's on Twitter. Go to his Twitter account. If you're not following him, fucking follow him.
Yeah, what's what's his?
He calls it TNT. It's the regular gathering of like people that follow him, and then what he does is that he shares insights, stories.
What's his
ideas.
handle?
Hold on a second. It's the real. Hold on, let me look it up.
I am Steranko, I think.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I am Steranko.
At I am
yeah.
Steranko.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's been doing it for years. He did it. He really started to do it when
Blue check mark.
There
I
it
can't
is.
believe that. Yeah, I know he's not a blue check. I found him.
He's
Thank
not.
you.
No, he
I
doesn't
can't
have
believe
it.
he's not a blue check mark. That's weird.
he started doing it when they were doing the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series, to start talking about the differences between what Disney was doing and the MCU was doing and what he had created when he had created S.H.I.E.L.D., because he's the guy that actually created all of that. And
Man, I'm about to go down this rabbit hole. Thanks, guys.
he also was the one that was talking about Bob Kane before everybody else was. That whole story about what Eisner did and basically ditching the check is something that Bob Kane did a lot.
He fucked Bill Fingers so badly. Hey, we got a porn bot. Look at that. We got a porn bot.
We do? Where?
Porn bot. Welcome, porn bot. Hope you like and support. Leave a comment.
I can't read Cyrillic or whatever that is.
Let's see. What is Dustwolf say? How did Eisner get a damn award named? Look, man, you do that. I've been working on something myself. I want to create and have wanted to create the Dale Dye award for military veterans or people who work in the military entertainment that support the military, support veterans.
Remind me about this after when we're off the air, because I got to talk to you about something.
Okay. And because Dale's my boss, and he's not just my boss. I admire the shit out of him. I've been reading him since before anybody knew who the fuck he was. He was the senior editor for Soldier of Fortune magazine. I read that as a young man because even before going into the military, I was interested in the military world. Sorry, Keith, I had to mute you. Your wind is hitting or breathing. I don't know what it is. But Dale Dye suddenly, was in movies, and I was just like, I know that guy. I'm like, yeah, I've been reading his articles and stories for years, and Dale was blown away when my father passed away, and I got my entire collection of SOF magazines out of storage from my dad's, and I had every one from issue 1 that he started working on all the way back until he left. And
I don't know anything about this guy. I'm so sorry, but I love his little tag, like Steranko, graphic prince of darkness.
Oh, dude, look, man.
The thing you got to understand about Steranko is that when you meet him, he is everything that you would envision him to be. But
he
the
really
dude
is.
he's
a rock star.
Yeah, he was. There's a picture of him, I think, in the late '60s, early '70s, with Jack Kirby, and I'm telling you, he had that whole rock star vibe. In fact, there's a rumor that the actual animated version of Speed Racer was kind of sort of even based on his look, because he looked like that as a younger man. and he was also a model. He I mean, he did all kinds of stuff. But
he looks like the Ric Flair of artists or whatever.
Well, I mean, when you look at what he did with Shield in the '60s, when he was given Shield to make as a comic book, he based Nick Fury's look on his own.
Look at that shit. Look at that shit, man.
No, it's incredible. He was the first
I was
man
blown away
that
because he was
introduced
using photographs.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Way before anybody else.
So this is his artwork right here I'm looking at?
Yeah,
oh yeah.
His covers.
What year is this from? Does it say?
This would have been 12 cents. You're looking at anywhere between 72 and 75.
70, yeah.
And
But
this
the
was the
thing-
shit that I read.
Yeah. And the thing with Steranko is that he brought in this sort of surreal environment to comic books
Mhm.
like nobody else
It
before.
was
Psycho-
an echo back to the TV shows that I also like.
Yeah.
With from
The
Britain,
Avengers.
with the
Avengers.
British, the Avengers of Britain.
Yeah.
The TV series
Emma Peel.
and the help me here, The Prisoner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it harkened back to that shit. And so it fueled the fire in me. That
Hey,
is why I say he is the only comic pro that ever had that impact on me.
Wow. No, I love his style. I'm actually going to grab something. I'll be back in a second.
For anyone out there, if you do not own a trade paperback of some of his work, especially his Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. work, you need to add that to your collection. I cannot stress that enough. I was lucky enough to meet him in Kansas City, and that is now the only way to get his 2-volume set on the history of comics, where he himself interviewed all these famous people who created all these characters that make up modern day comics. And he put the whole thing into 2 volumes. And the only way to buy that now is from him when he makes his appearances.
I wanted to mention something of that you are mentioning right now, Keith, because that is also what makes Steranko not only so great and legendary, but also a credible source all the time. That he is a true fan, like any one of us. So that's why he did a lot of research on the history of comic books, and he interviewed all these people. Sometimes people that he knew, like collaborators and all. Sometimes heroes that he had, and that adds to his credibility on what he always has to say about the stories of the comic book industry.
Well, and as at least for Gary and myself, growing up in the 70s, by the 1970s, anyone that had already been in the comic book industry, I mean, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were both in their 40s in the 60s, so we're talking hitting their 50s in the 70s.
So you guys are like a decade ahead of me. That's why, I actually feel like I lost nerd cred for not knowing, you know what I mean? I am definitely going down this rabbit hole. This guy's stuff is great. I got to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
It's okay. Look,
It's just
that's what Keith and I want to do this for. Is to expose things that people weren't aware of, because we grew up in that period. And Steranko had this, and I shit you not. Okay, here you go. Steranko had an impact on how I did this cover.
Okay.
This is my own book that I wrote, Vindicated Inc. It has not been published yet. It is something that hopefully Script Doctor and I will be doing together.
Oh shit! That ties into the other thing I wrote a note I want to talk about afterwards. So that's dope.
Look at the panel. Because the entire book is actually in black and white.
Okay, I was about to ask that.
And
so
once
it's
again,
Walking Dead.
that's a Steranko thing because I grew up on that stuff way before any of the other artists were doing that shit in the 80s. He was doing it in the 70s.
Oh, hey baby, my girl's here. I didn't realize that. Oops,
I freaking love that stuff. And and the way I draw very illustrative. I'm not a comic book artist, even though I work in comic books. And of course,
this is your work, right?
Yeah, this is my artwork.
Yeah, this is dope, man.
There's
you want to show us some more? I know you gotta.
Yeah, I can show you real quick. Let's see. Let me. There's an action scene here where. Here we go. Open with photo. Open with. It looks like Keith. It sounds like Keith is getting in and out of a car. I love hearing his life. Here we go. There's a page. That is Fahim Fazli, by the way, who's been a guest on our show several times. Right there in the book. He created that character with me. And his name is Captain Jamil. And he's an Afghani special forces that was trained by the main character in my story, John Russell. And
so you like base these when you draw people, you base it off people you know and stuff?
I find it fun to do that because I like drawing faces.
Inside joke, Easter egg type of things, you know.
Yeah. And cool. I will show you some more. This is when he kills his second in command because he realizes he's setting off an explosive. He sees the cell phone in that panel there, and Jamil gets angry. He draws his weapon, and then we will open the next panel. Open with photos. There we go. And here's the next page.
Oh, in the face. Damn.
And just drops him. But the sad part of this is what happens in the next panel. The main character's fucked. Because he was able to get the first button pushed.
Hey man, don't give it away. You're supposed to just tease us so we buy the book.
This is just one scene. I'm not going to tell you everything. And I will zoom in so you can actually see better what's going on here. Him laying there, and it's already sending. We show that on the panel. Jabari, not Jamil. Jabari tried to warn me there was no time. And this is John.
How does the writer forget the name?
And I didn't create the character. I created the character, but not the name.
Oh, okay. So you didn't write it? I thought you wrote it.
I wrote it. He created the name of the character.
Oh, okay.
I trust Fahim when it comes to names.
It's like when...
and there's this moment. He looks down. He hears the beep, and he sees the flash from underneath. And then he just says, fuck.
Yeah.
And what I wrote was, time slowed as the flames came out. And for a split second, I was home on the beach of the tide, and the tide was washing over my feet. I have a vague memory of immense heat and a bright light. And then you see him, and the leg is, I was inferring that the leg is gone. And by the way, I drew that there.
I almost thought like these were like his thoughts from like the afterlife.
Well, the way I drew it, the flame coming out from under the building would come out almost like this, in a flat line. And it would remind him of the water washing over his feet as a kid, growing up in Virginia.
Well, the great thing about that is, just to give you another point of view, based on my interpretation, it almost makes that page like a cliffhanger. So when I flip the page, it's like either way, it's...
Well, that's what I do. I
love it.
I write that way. I specifically plan the panels out. This is the one place where Dale Dye had to make a correction because he's my military advisor on this. And these are all real people. Each person is actually a real person that plays a character in my story. And that's hit from his POV after his leg got blown off. And they're talking. The dialogue here got changed slightly because I said something incorrectly. And Dale Dye corrected me. And then they're getting him to one of these stealth Blackhawks.
I'm not Data from Star Trek. You scroll so fast. Or did you not want me to read that? I was just
you can read it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
He's coming
to.
I
was in the second.
And this is what Fahim actually says to me a lot. He goes, "Hey, boss." So I threw it in there. And this is his best friend. He goes, "Hey, brother, you scared the shit out of me." And then the main character says, "What happened?" He says, "Got the shit knocked out of you is all. We got you, boss." "Hey, LT, yeah?" John grunts. "Everything hurts." He goes, "I'm so sorry, man." He says, "You got the evac?" "Yeah." "Shit, hold on." And he turns and he shoots somebody. He goes, "Sorry, bad guys. Anyway, they're 2 mics out." "Okay, good." "Hey, grab the leg." "Roger that." "Hey, I need you to shift fire on that building's 2nd floor." And then the main character goes, "Leg."
Right on.
Because
to me, that would have been like, when I flipped the page, I would have been like happy because he's alive. He just lost his leg. And then like they have this, it's kind of funny scene. So I dig this, man. Like this is something I would 1,000,000% get behind, especially with the whole the cover that you show me. Like with the...
Yeah, and here's the scene of him in the helicopter. He says, "Nothing in this life can prepare your mind for the moment when someone hands someone else part of your body."
Oh my God.
And then we're in the hospital, and he's
fucking gnarly. I love that. Scroll up a little. Like, let me see that, please. Right there. Yeah. It's fucking gnarly. Sorry, go on. My bad.
So, that's it. And I owe Steranko a lot for the way that I tell stories, because he was the guy that I paid the most attention to as a kid.
Hell yeah.
I hope
Steranko is cool.
That.
Yeah, you just opened me up.
Sneak peek of Vindicated.
Oh yes, very much so.
And I plan on releasing this, and I'm trying to work on a deal for Keith, Script Doctor, and I to create an imprint and release comics, including all my original stuff, and what I'm working with Script Doctor on, because I'm working on a comic with him. It's good, fucking be badass, dude.
Are you into the NFT game yet, man? You totally should be.
I don't know what NFT is.
We'll talk. We'll talk, because you can make money.
Are you sure? You can make money, but
NFTs. No, I'm not. I've
non-fungible token.
I mean, it's bullshit. I don't agree with it, but fuck it. Like, if you can make some money,
Well, I'm always looking for ways to basically pay for things that I'm doing.
Yeah, so
I don't want to draw for
NFTs
free.
Yeah, no, the especially for artists. Oh shit, sorry. Especially for artists, NFTs are great, because and I still can't even wrap my brain around it. But let's say that cover art you showed me, right? For the vet superhero. I'm sorry, I already forgot the name.
Vindicated Inc.
Vindicated Inc. So if you did an NFT, if you minted an NFT of that cover art, you could. It's just like doing limited print runs when you go to conventions, like I used to do. So
if I can figure out how to do it, I would do it.
Dude, I'll talk to you afterwards, so we don't bore the hell out of everybody.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited, because eventually, we're doing this stuff with Script, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag what we're doing. But the first story we're doing with Script is going to be so fucking awesome that people are going to shit themselves at how fucking cool it is. And I leave it up to you, Script, if we ever talk about it. I'm not going to fucking talk about it without your permission.
Yeah, there's more details to hash out, because there's another writer involved. But yes, it's.
We'll do an episode about
amazing.
It. We will do an entire episode about.
Oh yeah, once we get everything all our ducks in a row, and we know that we are going to be able to make this completely feasible, which is 99% possibility, we'll make a formal announcement and get everything all set. It's going to be awesome.
Right on.
And
my phone's getting blown up. I'm gonna be back, guys. So sorry.
Okay, no worries, Dark Knight. So, but going back to Steranko, I think that it was a revealing, eye-opening moment what he did on the 9th, and
one of many that he's had.
Yeah, because we've all gone over, because we've talked. You and I have talked ad nauseum about what happened with Bill Finger, and I love that documentary. And that documentary wouldn't have come about if it weren't for Steranko.
He was one of many individuals that just sort of put it out there about the kind of person that Bob Kane was. But also, by doing this, he's alerting us to the history of comics, in so much as that there were a lot of people who thought about the future and thought about their standing in it, and decided to whitewash or change who they were and change how they were perceived. And Eisner is a good example of someone who thought ahead and decided to change how he was perceived. And in doing so, that's how you get an award named after you. When you change how even comic book historians see things. And you put things out there that may not entirely be true. In the case of Eisner, there's a lot of stuff about him that may not have been entirely true. Trust me, I was one of those guys growing up thinking I knew everything. And to hear from someone that was in the business that knew these people and said, oh, he's not exactly the best guy in the world, and here's why.
And we all know that there's stories still not told yet about Stan Lee. I hope that they're nowhere near of what they were with Williamson and with Bob
Kane. Yeah.
Okay.
But we know that Stan Lee embellished a bit, and he would not. I never caught him verbally taking too much credit, except for a couple times that dealt with Bob Kane and Ditko. And I think that he kind of diminished their involvement when he should.
And Jack Kirby. I mean, realistically,
I meant Kirby.
Because that's the reason why you have the New Gods.
Yeah.
And that was an example of Kirby's abilities, and what he had tried to tell people was his contribution to being able to not only draw but also co-create and dialogue for Fantastic Four.
Which is true, you know. I mean, he wrote most of the dialogue for Fantastic Four. He wrote even the plot of what was going to be in the comic book itself, and there's even a claim that he created Galactus on his own. It was not Stan Lee putting there some input for him to, you know, the character has to be this way and this other way. He just said, make them fight God. And then Kirby just came up with Galactus on his own, you know, which is a precursor, of course, of the
I'm not
New
surprised
Gods.
if that is true. Because once again, Stan Lee, I don't think he's as guilty as Kane and Eisner, but he is guilty of it, and we all know that. But because I ran into a situation with Stan Lee when we were at Wizard back in 2011, I think it was in 2012, when I was guest artist down there in New Orleans, and some guy started heckling Stan Lee, and he was right next to Zoe and me, and I turned to him, I said, "And what the fuck have you created?" And the guy shut up. And because when people do that, it really bugs me. You know, don't do that. You know, it's not your fucking place to do it. You know, Stan Lee created a hell of a lot more than you did, so shut the fuck up. How much of it he created? That's what's in question.
Yeah.
But I don't believe for a second, because Stan Lee really was a hands-on guy, and we all know that. That caused friction. That caused a lot of friction with some of the artists. How hands-on he was.
I am not so salty about even a lot of the movie stuff, because I don't think he had any real control by the time the MCU came along. Although personally, I am still salty about the fact that Joe Simon, who was very much alive, was never asked to make even a cameo appearance in Captain America, a character that he actually co-created with Jack Kirby. There was never any doubt about that, because Stan Lee's never had his name on it, but only Stan was allowed to have a cameo in that film.
And you know something, I mean, he pushed for credits for the artists as well in the comic books. I mean, we have to give him that. But Gary pointed out something important right here, that Stan was a hands-on man. And we cannot say that about Eisner, for example. We know that he had a studio, and he was pretty much like Bob Kane. I mean, Bob Kane learned from him to have a studio and then have ghost writers and ghost pencilers and ghost everything. So he didn't do shit, you know. I mean, he had other people do things for him. And we know that's what happened throughout most of his career, if not all of it. Whereas with Stan, he was there. The thing is that he was so there that then his obligations just took most of his time and couldn't really commit to writing anymore as he used to at the beginning of his career, you know?
Yeah. Well, and again,
that's... how many years did Marvel have the Stan Lee Presents on all their titles?
Well, they used to, not anymore, I think.
No, but they had it for many years, like from the 70s, definitely through the 80s. It would be Stan Lee Presents, and then it's, you know, whatever it is, like, you know, Fantastic Four, Amazing Spider-Man. The Thing had his own little series. Like, those are the Stan Lee Presents stuff, because he was that figurehead. That's what he had built him up to be. But so many other people, better writers, in my opinion, had tackled those characters and made some amazing stories as a result. But what happened because of that branding associated with Marvel, everyone just kind of funneled over to, oh, it's Stan Lee. And then that's it's really difficult to kind of like separate the myth from the man and acknowledge the people that, you know, worked under his auspices.
Yeah. And that's again where you get into, as you were saying, Script Doctor, that's where you're getting into problems, because now a lot of these guys are passing away. A lot of these people have passed away. And it's hard to be able to figure out who actually did what. And especially now that Marvel is a part of a major corporation, and you know, certain things one would think would be the right thing to do for those people that actually created things, for their estates, their family to be taken care of, or many of those that, thank God are still with us for their elderly years. But it's hard. It's hard if you don't actually have the paper trail and everything else to lead you to a lot of that stuff. Personally, with Stan Lee, my thing with him is that everything that we know is Marvel. When I say Marvel to anyone under a certain age, definitely anyone under the age of 50, maybe even 40, the Marvel that you are thinking of is the Marvel that Stan Lee brought back to life after the company had already gone out of business. Okay? There was a Marvel Comics prior to that, a way of working and a way of doing things that while Stan Lee was not the master of, he was not the guy who actually set all that up. And so you had all these different people working, all these different people doing things, and of which the Submariner, the Human Torch, the original Human Torch, and Captain America are all a part of that. That's the reason why when it comes to the age of Marvel Comics and how long they've been around, there's only 3 characters that have been around for a majority of the history of Marvel Comics. Only 3. The original Human Torch, the Submariner, and Captain America. All other characters that you then come to mind with when you say Marvel are all related to the 60s.
And wasn't the original Human Torch like modified or evolved into Vision?
They eventually did that with the character. That's how they were able to bring the character forward.
Exactly.
But before they were able to do that, that character name and ability were free to use, or at least that's the way Stan Lee thought of it. So when they were creating the Fantastic Four, Stan Lee's contribution was, well, let's have the Human Torch. And rather than saying the new Human Torch, he just called him the Human Torch. And so, it does get kind of weird. There are times that Stan took advantage of certain things without really giving proper credit or saying that he was updating. On the other side of DC Comics, when they started to do new things with older characters and sort of take Green Lantern from a superhero mix and superheroics and magic to a character that was more cosmic in its reach and part of a broader organization, and went from Alan Scott to Hal Jordan, and the Flash, Jay Garrick to Barry Allen. When you're making these adjustments to the characters, those are noticeable adjustments. You're taking the character name and abilities, you're bringing a brand new character to the whole thing, and rather than modifying it, you're saying, okay, this is a whole new thing, whole new character. This is what this is, and legally, that's a little more acceptable than actually just literally taking something and treating it like not treating it like you created it, but just using it without really giving any real credit.
And you know what happened also, Kid, there? I mean, I'm not trying to excuse Stan Lee at all, because he did do these things. But another thing that is like an oversight from the company is precisely that they didn't push for putting the credit there, nowhere in any of the early Avengers comic books, and even I think up to now, is there written Captain America created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. And that's something that you get to see in DC Comics. Yes, because they have arrangements with the Schuster family or something, William Moulton, Marston, but you do see that in DC Comics. You don't see that in Marvel Comics, and that is also an oversight from the company from the get-go as well.
Yeah, and again, it's the thing that for those of you who have been following me. One of the books that I've been reading while on vacation has been the biography of Joe Simon. And again, another person who worked in the comic industry that also found time to serve our nation. He went into the Navy, and Jack Kirby was an Army guy, and both of them saw action. Okay. Stan went into the service as well. There's a long history of people that have served our country that have worked in comics. And that is another amazing thing, and why I am so happy to help my brother Gary in doing what he's doing. He's part of a long line of military service people that are just dreamers and doers and want to do this kind of stuff. They have these incredible imaginations and all of this talent, so anything that I can do to help out, I'm there for it,
And I decided in 2006 to devote the rest of my life to dealing with veteran issues and veteran causes. And in 2006, I formed a company with best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author John Del Vecchio and Del Dye, called Charlie Foxtrot Entertainment. And it failed. We almost succeeded. I mean, we were close to making a film. And it all came about because I was sick of the way Hollywood handles military issues, veteran issues, and how they depict soldiers in particular. It's either a mindless automaton or a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets really exhausting. Their understanding of PTSD and the way that they show PTSD in film really fucking irks me to no end. And basically, we wanted to start this company, and Charlie Foxtrot in military slang means clusterfuck. And I thought it'd be funny naming our company Clusterfuck Entertainment. And every single military vet that heard the name laughed, going, because that's what it means. It means clusterfucks, Charlie Foxtrot. And but the company didn't make it, and it kind of fizzled in 2009. We were set to go to the Middle East to shoot a film, and Del Dye had written an amazing script based off of my original first draft script, and he kept the humor in there. That's one thing I liked. He kept my humor in there, and but he had made drastic changes and did exactly what we'd all talked about, which was to take the events that took place over 3 months and put them into one day in this battle that took place in Mosul in 2004. And it was the single most effective assault by the insurgency at the time, and had the greatest impact on not just the people, but on all the soldiers serving in Iraq at that time. And it changed how we fought the war. That one single day, June 24th, 2004. And they set off a series of bombs that wounded and killed hundreds of people, thousands, to be honest with you. And no worries, SnoDub. I got your message. No worries. You're always welcome to come back any fucking time. You are officially part of the panel on this show. So, but basically, we started this company and it failed because the government of Kurdistan failed, because they were the ones that were going to fund the film. And when it failed, everything died and our company died with it. Sadly, it happens, but it's left lifelong professional relationship between myself and Del Dye, because I designed his company's logo. I've been working for him since the 2000s, and I will go on working for him until that he gets tired of me. And I like the fact that he respects, I know 90% of what I'm talking about. There's this 10% where I know I'm fudging it. So, but with that, I guess we need to really focus on closing out the show. And I do want to make a statement that for those of you who still think that Bob Kane, Will Eisner, and Stan Lee created everything,
whatever helps you sleep at night, bitch.
That's all I got to say. We know that they didn't. And eventually it's all going to come out in the wash. It always does. And, with everything, It always comes out in the wash, and we're going to learn more. And before we move into the closing, we do need to promote our membership. So here's our cute little video of how Keith and I met and how all of this became a show. I miss Sven. And thank you, Squeak. Thank you all, including those porn bots. Thank you so much for dropping in and sharing your links to watch your filthy, filthy porn. It's awesome.
I got some kind of weird news just to drop. I just kind of dabbled at the starting scene of Naomi. And it's literally the Peter Parker scene with the glasses while she's monologuing in front of a mirror. So DC comic, the new Naomi series that dropped.
Serious? It dropped already.
And literally, the opening is her monologuing herself, standing in front of the mirror, doing the glasses, blur off, back on, glasses on, blur, back off again.
Yeah, it looks stupid. I mean, when I see a promo where it focuses on the identity of
first episode,
on the poster, I immediately usually block it. Go, I'll never watch that.
There's a reason for all of that because of who's involved. The co-creator, which is Brian Michael Bendis, the guy who created Miles Morales, and then went over to DC and decided to create Naomi after doing a lot of race swapping.
If you're going to steal from somebody, steal from yourself. I do it all the time in my stories, so I get it. But I think he's late. I think he was lazy. You know how I feel about Miles. I think Miles has potential, but I dislike that what they did is they just took Peter Parker and retold his story in a different way. And I'm like, it's not different enough. It needed to be more different.
Well, he's not Miguel. Miguel is a really good way of taking Peter's story, or at least doing a different type of Spider-Man. And Jessica also is a different way of doing that. The unfortunate thing is that you really didn't need a Spider-Verse. You already had the way they were doing everything in comics. All the Spider-Man characters were within the same universe, with the exception of Miles, who that entire comic book universe and that character were never meant to come over to the 616.
No.
That was part of what was originally agreed, and then they changed their mind. So for me, I do like Miles, but I do not like him in the sense that, a lot of fans.
Like eggs and ham.
There's no need to get rid of Peter Parker to allow Miles to be a great character. That's one of the flaws that many of Miles fans have. They believe that you have to get rid of Peter Parker in order for Miles to be a great character, because they somehow have it in their heads.
That's the problem you and I have with most of them. It's like, stop trying to replace, supplant, fucking create a new character and let him stand on his own or her own. It's just it's so lazy. It is really so fucking lazy.
It is.
But I got the link, Steven. So I'm going to take a peek at this shit. It's hard for me to get past bad writing. It's like if they don't fucking grab me within the first 5 minutes, I'm not going to watch the rest. And people go, "Whoa, too bad," because if I'm like, if you can't fucking write a good opening scene, your show's not worth a shit. Your movie's not worth a shit, because your film is only as good as the fucking opening scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wrote an opening. Well, I didn't write I wrote it about 20 years ago, called Eyes in the Sun, and I let Script read it last night. Script, what did you think? Is that a good opening scene?
It does hits all the beats to get you intrigued and want to see more. So I mean that's what you got to strive for when you're trying to introduce a story.
Well, I like mysteries. And I like one of my greatest tropes that I like is the lost memory. And when used correctly, especially in mysteries, true mysteries, it's one of the best noir thrillers I've ever watched, with the ones where a character or a main character is suffering from some form of amnesia and is trying to solve the crime. In fact, they remade one with Quaid and what's her name, Meg Ryan, where the character has to figure out who murdered him before he dies.
DOA.
Yeah. Because it was originally like 1950-51 thriller, noir thriller, and then they remade it again, and I enjoy both versions. It's a great film. And I like the film where the character wakes up, and they did one. Dead Again was like that, and then there was a movie with I forget his name. That was the bad sergeant in Platoon, and that kills Elias.
Someone to watch over me.
Well, no. That's a good movie.
Um,
That's a good movie. But he was in another movie where he wakes up and doesn't have memories, and he
Shattered.
Something's wrong. Shattered. Great fucking movie where he finds out at the end he's the bad guy, and he had plastic surgery to look like the husband, and he murdered the husband, and he solves the fucking crime. What a great fucking movie! Bob Hoskins was in it.
Dead Again is a fantastic movie. For
Dead
those
Again
that have
is the only, in my opinion, British-produced Hollywood film that really fell into that noir class.
Well, it's dedicated to the whole Hitchcockian way of doing movies.
Because it's reincarnation.
Well, now you revealed the twist. I think everyone out there
the name of it's called Dead Again.
I think if you've never seen that movie, I highly recommend it.
And
check it
even though
out.
It's not a big scenes. Robin Williams scenes in that were some of the best that he ever did.
Yeah.
The line when he says, "You have to decide what you are and be it," when he's talking to the main character who's trying to quit smoking. Decide what it is you are and be that. Are you a former smoker or are you still a smoker trying to quit? And Williams is a great character in that film. What's this? Miles. Hold on. Sorry, all. I'm not a fan of Miles. I always suspected that Bendis wanted to. No, it was. It absolutely is an attempt to replace Peter Parker, and I hated that. That's why I railed against the character. But now I feel, look, he's become popular enough that we need to keep him in there. But we need to give him his own fucking story instead of fucking echoing nothing but Peter's life. They should have named Miles Ghost Rider instead of Spider-Man. Ghost Spider. I guess. I don't know. How do you feel?
I have a soft spot for Kid Arachnid.
Kid Arachnid. No, I like, because Keith and I talked about it, and I've read some more of Miles' stuff, and I enjoy it. I got irritated by how he came into play. And he came into play for all the wrong reasons. And I consider it racist. And the thing that bugs me about Miles Morales is that he's considered black. And I'm like, no, he's Hispanic. His name is Morales. He just also happens to be of possibly African descent.
Well, his mom's Latin and his dad's black, right?
Yeah, but he's not just black. And when you try to label people, when you try to pigeonhole them into one race, it annoys me. Or, as Keith knows, I like to say, it does this.
You do not need to defeat him again.
He tasks me. He tasks me.
Yes, he tasks me. And it tasks me when people do that, when they try to pigeonhole people into one race. It's like the whole identity politics thing just annoys me because you're talking about people, and people are people. I guarantee you 90% of the shit that Keith goes through as a black man echo shit that I've gone through as a white guy. Guarantee you. There are, of course, individual stuff that you go through because of your race, but I really don't think that it plays as big a part as people try to make it sound. I think people are fucking people, and you should support people no matter their fucking color. Now, idiots, on the other hand, do not support idiots. That is my one prejudice. I don't like stupid people.
Okay, yeah, we should try to have fewer of those.
I don't like them. And I find it interesting that Fat Steven's very quiet right now when I said that. What is up with that?
Wow. Anyway, I think today's show went very well. We have, hopefully we've been able to give everyone an opportunity to be able to experience and understand why we admire Jim Steranko, what he brings to the conversation, and the history that he tries to teach everyone. Hopefully, in the future, it will lead you down a path of discovering even more people that have contributed to modern day comics and why these people should be remembered for their contributions. And, everyone should take some time out to rediscover a lot of work, especially the work done pre-1950s. It may not be the easiest artwork for a lot of people who are used to modern day
or
quote
the
unquote
stabby writing
sensibilities.
that we've grown used to.
Yeah.
It's still fun.
And that's for both DC and Marvel,
I agree with you, Keith. And I hope everybody walked away with a little bit of knowledge from this episode, because that's really one of the things that Keith and I love to support. It's part of why we're involved with that convention that's coming this year in Springfield, which is...
Sorry, it took so long, guys.
Dork, you're back.
Yeah, when business, that's one of the downfalls to owning your own business. When a client calls, take care of it. So
and I hate saying this live on the show, but I ignore phone calls when they come in during shows. I absolutely turn my phone off.
Yeah, no, man, I try to keep that 5-star rating.
My clients know me, and they know that I will get back to them. And I am not, and I've made it clear as an artist, I am not here at your fucking beck and call.
I should probably do that, but I'm still I'm not at your level yet.
Well, Keith, what am I? Everybody knows I am.
Mr. Gary Cassell.
No, what am I?
A dick.
Thank you. I'm a dick. My closest friends, my clients all know it. I say things to my clients that they're like, why do I keep coming back to you? And I know they've said that to themselves many a time. Why do I
you're just that damn good.
I'm good, but I'm friends with everybody that I have as clients. I am.
I've noticed that the majority of my clients, especially in my field, which I guess is similar to yours, is I'm friends with a lot of them. They keep doing like one of my closest friends is actually the owner of Cosmic Comics. And I was actually just at his house. It was either last night or the night before last. And, he was...
I'm sorry, I was laughing at what Squeaker said, not what you were saying.
Yeah, for sure. And he was like, he gave me some brutal honesty about myself because, we've been good friends for like 11, 12 years. And he was like, I'm only telling you this because I love you. And I was like, I know, brother. I know. And he's like, that's the only reason I keep working with you. So I get it.
No, it's true. And I only work with people I like. I don't want to work with clients anymore. I'm too old. I'm set in my ways.
I feel like I'll be there in 10 years.
Yes. Once I hit my 50s, I started realizing I have absolutely no tolerance for assholes. And I have lost jobs because I refuse to deal with someone being shitty. And it caused quite a situation back in the early 2011, 2013 with a client where he was paying Google money to rail against me on Google. And I'm like, my clients are friends of mine. You can't cost me my fucking job.
Yeah. We really don't got to spend money. Just go to ripoffreport.com
and I did say that to him. Yeah. I said it to him in one of my phone calls. I said, if you had paid me the money you owed me and promised me, instead of putting it into Google, you'd have your book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the funny part of this, I say that he actually had access to the book. The book was done. It was sitting in Dropbox. My partner, Paul, he's my legal advisor. He like called me. He says, "Stop!" He's Scottish, so he's like, "Stop! What, Jerry? Don't do any more for him." And I said, "I've already done." He goes, "Stop working on it. He's fucking with you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I sat there just to see how smart he was as a lawyer. That he had access to the book the whole time. He had access to the Dropbox. He was part of the Dropbox. He could have gotten his book at any point. But he kept saying he was going to sue me, and I told him, like, one time I told him, I said, "I'll hand it to a judge before I'll fucking hand it to you," is what I said. I said, "So you take me to court. I'll come. I'll show up, and I'll tell him what a dick you are for what you try to do." And never happened. Never took me to court. Instead, he put money into Google, wasted his money. And
see, I wish I had your backbone. I'm too much of a pussy because I got those things that come every month called bills.
I never lived beyond my means.
Yeah.
I have, I knew that when I gave up the medical career to do art, that I was going to struggle. And I've told every woman in my life, hey, if you're looking for a successful artist, that's not me. I'm successful in my career. I'm not successful with money.
I really hope CC is still watching right now.
Well, Deanna knows that. Deanna knows it. She knows that she's the breadwinner.
No, I just need my girl to hear somebody else say that.
Yeah, it's like
you got a good man there.
Yeah, it's like it's just how it works, buddy. Yeah. I plan on that changing once this partnership that we're talking about doing launches, and I finally start releasing my books. And I've been holding on to them for dear life, because I'm not going to let another publisher have them. I'm tired of doing that, because you don't get anything but a single paycheck. And they tell you about percentages. You don't fucking get anything on the back end. You never do. I tell people, if you're an artist, get as much as you can up front. Anything you promise you on the back end, just assume it's not going to fucking happen.
I don't even take back end deals, and it's
you should take a back end deal. Just don't make it part of the main deal. You need to make sure. And what I tell people,
that's my point. When I say I don't take back end deals, what I mean is like, for example, is one of my, again, it's a client, but he's also a friend. He's been my friend for like 10 years. He wants me to do a bunch of work, but only get paid on the back end. And I want you to
read what Zach's just wrote. Read that. What I got to fucking deal with. People go, man, is your ego in check, Gary? I'm like, when my friends say shit like this about me, that should tell you my ego is in check. My pride is different. I have a lot of pride. And when you see me lose my shit over something, it's not my ego talking, it's my pride. And it's like when Ultra Rob, one of my best friends, would make fun of my music. I turned to him one day. I said, "Man, I don't give a shit if you make fun of my songs." What he does, he changes the lyrics to be funny. I said, "I don't mind." But before you fucking shit on something of mine, you better say something nice. You need to say something nice about it first. Yeah. One thing. And I said, as long as you stick with that role, I won't get pissed at you. Because
I was laughing at the Zach's comment.
He's such a dick. I love that he's part of our show. Zach's gets me. How the F was I not subbed to Zach's? He fixed it. Okay, there you go. Yeah, Zach's the shit. Zach's is a major part of the show. Pat, I don't know if he's still here. Pat is a major part of our show, as is, and I mean our channel, not just our show. Pat is our direct manager, and our senior manager, executive producer of our channel is Mexican Iron Man. And Mexican
I
Iron
love
Man,
him. I love him.
Mexican Iron Man does not take time for very many people. And
Where is he? I didn't know he was a part of your show. I love
Yeah,
that guy.
he's our executive producer. He's why we're making a lot of the changes. And I'm going to bring it up now before I end the show. We are changing the schedule on this. I'm meeting with Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge probably tomorrow. We talked a little bit about it today, but he was doing a show and I had to get ready for this show. I do not want this show competing for the audience with our friends. I don't ever want that. And the problem is his morning show goes over ours, which is why he's not here. And he's probably just wrapping up on the other show because I was hoping he'd make it on our show.
Are we talking about Tom or
Connors?
Mexican Iron Man? Oh, okay, Tom. Okay.
Tom Connors right now. Now, Mexican Iron Man is involved with a lot of our shows. But you'll notice the handful of shows that he's involved with are very specific. And he's very selective in what he does. So I take pride in the fact that Mexican Iron Man saw real value in what we do. And he also knows that behind the scenes, we're close friends with a lot of people. They're not always on our show. And but we've been on shows with them. We used to be part of the High Council, you know. But that all changed when the previous High Council was dissolved. And we're like, okay, that's fine. We won't. If you don't want to play baseball with us, we won't play baseball with you. Nothing personal,
right?
You know, I don't take anything personally. Well, I do take some things personally, but you won't know about it because I just keep it in private and I mumble, motherfucker. But the fact is, you know, we don't air dirty laundry in public. We don't partake in any of the shit talking. Any of the shows that have taken part in shit talking are garbage people. I'm not going to say any names. They know who the fuck they are. Keith and I know who they are. Tom and Andre know who they are. We don't like them. We think that's just a garbage way of doing shows on YouTube. That each one of us is struggling to fucking do something. We share a lot of the same audiences. And when you start shitting on other shows, you show a lack of professional ethnicity.
Not just that, just common sense tells you the rising tide lifts all ships. You know what I mean?
It's what it is. It really does. And Script Doctor knows all the behind the scenes stuff. So does Steven. A lot of you guys do. Of us dealing with things.
I don't know anything.
And because, you know, it's funny. Script Doctor comes up in conversation with Tom and I all the time. Because we all love Script Doctor. Script Doctor is one of the most solid dudes I've ever known.
He is.
And that's my wife trying to get my attention. And I'm still doing a show.
Oh.
So I don't know what you're doing.
I guess that means we're running long.
Take him, Deanna.
No, we're still live.
Take him down.
Yeah, fuck off, honey. I love you. Hey, I do need to talk to you, though, because, look, I'm going to talk about it while she can hear me right now. We're going to be doing a show with her. Everybody agrees, and I know Kyle does, that she needs to have her own show talking about that League of Legends, playing League of Legends, and talking about Arcane or anything related. Because Deanna is just really, she's fucking weird into this. She's a nerd. She's a nerd with that stuff. She'll start talking. It's her and her son will start talking about League of Legends. I just start zoning out, like, oh, listen to the birds. You know, I get really bored. But I want her to have her own show where she talks about this stuff. So I'm announcing that here. We will be changing our time if it's necessary. Depends on the meeting I have with Tom for TGIF. One of the things suggested is they up the hours for Friday Night Tights. And we would possibly follow them, which I've said to them, it would be really nice if you guys would let people know we're coming on after the show if we do that. And Tom, of course, is all in on that because Tom's all about supporting us.
Well, it's just like a lead-in for the Tonight Show.
Well, you know, we would be the late show with Tom Snyder.
There you go.
When you think about it. Because, okay, if anybody remembers that was my fucking favorite thing to watch when I was young because I didn't sleep at night. And I would be up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning all the time. I still am. And I would watch Tom Snyder. And I love Tom Snyder. Aha! I love the way he laughed. And he was like Burt Lancaster. Burt Lancaster had that laugh that made his nostrils. They would wiggle when he would laugh. I was just like, what the fuck is up with his nostrils? Anyway, yeah, I'm an artist. I notice shit like that in faces all the time. But we're going to see a possible change in our schedule. I will let everybody know on Twitter and on here if it changes. And it'll only be because we want to fit in with the Friday lineup. And we do fit in with it. We're part of the Friday lineup. And Mexican Iron Man and everybody's trying to figure out why aren't you bigger than you are? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know shit about the algorithm. If I did, we'd be bigger. But I like our audience, and our audience is part of the shared group. Y'all are part of the shared group. We all watch the same stuff. We're all friends on Twitter, and I like that. But the fact is, we do need to grow the show. We got to get bigger because we need the show to pay for itself. Because my art career will probably end within a year or so because of my neck.
Well,
and I would rather focus all my energy on doing what we do here because it's fun.
Yeah. So it doesn't take a lot. Like, for example, over at the Salty Nerd, you know, it's crazy. We went from like around 2,000 subscribers, and it's been like a week or two, and we are like 4.5 now, and like, you know, like getting close to 5. And it's just because we got lucky with having they had David Hewlett on, they had Orm on. That, you know, they've just
we're trying to get bigger names on again.
You know? And that's all it takes. You get one of those, and just like, and it just happens really quick. And then
here's what I'm wanting to do, and this will be a special episode, not a TGIF. I'm trying to get a hold of Lalo Schifrin, the guy who wrote the Mission Impossible thing, because we want to do a breakdown of Mission Impossible, the series, and focus on everything. And I think people don't know enough about that fucking song and how it changed everything for TV soundtracks.
Oh my God!
So we'll never find out what happened to Dan Briggs.
So
Eric Phelps was cooler.
We will be talking about that.
Did you guys see the
actor?
Did you guys?
I wanted to propose something for a very long time, but now that we are talking about it live, I would like to have, you know, a special show on gangster films, on the destruction of the gangster persona with Once Upon a Time, you know, 1984 by Sergio Leone. It just demystified everything that we knew about gangsters up to that point, you know, like.
Well, Sergio Leone made a career, oddly, of doing homages to.
I wish he'd have done Book of Boba Fett, because I thought
that was
Book
sort
of
of his
Boba
love
Fett.
song to those classic gangster films.
Yeah,
and the same thing with American Westerns. I mean, that was how he built his career. So that film to me was a great love song to the gangster films of old, and I love that.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, it is. And of course, Ennio Morricone's soundtrack on it was amazing.
Oh yeah, wonderful soundtrack.
And but you know, we should. I would not mind doing an entire episode talking about genres, where we just talk about genres, and we could do that here on TGIF.
Well, we could have a special thing called the Genre Show, and just break it down that way.
If you guys want and you have free time, you can do it on This Show Has No Name.
Okay.
No, actually, I was trying to cut in.
That, but we can do that, but I would want to also broadcast it on here.
They call it TGOF, and it's like the genre on Friday.
And I want to promote
talking genre
again,
on Friday.
I'm just kidding.
Because right now, Steven is the only one of us who has an account with that new service that we're.
I didn't. No one didn't have an account for, and the Babylon 5 got postponed, so I have it for another month.
Because
but,
what I like about that is it allows you to simulcast. You can actually broadcast on 2 different channels.
Oh, okay. We can do.
That was one of the things I was reading that got me excited. Going, oh, that's fucking cool. Because we could then broadcast both from Fat Steven's channel or anybody else's channel and ours. Because, you know, because I'm trying to get our channel growing too.
Yeah.
And
I have breaking news.
And I still don't feel I pulled the trigger. Okay, what is it?
Have you guys heard about this? A page, this just was just
$3.4 million.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? And
That's Secret Wars black suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Secret Wars? What's this?
So I don't know how to like that. I don't know if you can see it.
The Spider-Man page auction.
Yeah. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah.
Another breaking news is that Tim Allen is.
George is a really sharp dude, but sometimes I wonder. Just fucking share it.
The other breaking news is that Tim Allen is reprising the role of Santa Claus.
Oh,
4 hours ago.
I like that. Because I'm a Tim Allen conservative. Because
I love Tim Allen.
I hear him talk, I'm like, that's the conservative stuff I support. And he's still very liberal in other ways, but I like the way he says shit.
He's funny.
I'm still waiting. Where's the fucking link?
I'm trying, man. That's what I'm doing right now. My phone is being a dick.
Well, while we're waiting,
I just said how sharp you are, and you're fucking.
While we're waiting,
know what I'm doing.
While we're waiting, why don't we go over the whole Buckaroo Banzai thing?
Oh, we forgot about that. That's right. Yeah. That'll be our closing. Dude, I'm excited. I've been waiting for this for a while. I was hoping we would get an animated film. Because remember, they did the test animation and it looked fucking awesome. And we're going to finally get. Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go. Let me pull this up real quick.
So sorry.
No problem. You slow motherfucker.
It was my phone's fault. I have a Google phone, and I'm supposed to be able to send whatever I'm looking at on my Google phone straight to Chrome, and I do it all the time. And of course, the one time I'm live on air, it's just like hiccups, So
that's really cool. Oh, okay, yeah. The actual page from the Secret Wars. This was one of the two things that I liked from the Secret Wars. I got so pissed I stopped reading Marvel Comics over it because of the marketing ploy that they did of selling shitty comics to continue the story. If you want to know what happens next, you have to read.
Oh, you mean like with Secret Wars Part 2, which came out like 2 years later?
Well, they always did that. They would crossovers with other comics you didn't collect, so you have to get the whole story by buying those, and then they do the variant covers and all that shit.
Well, the thing is, the funny thing with Secret Wars Part 2 is there was no actual war. It was just freaking the Beyonder learning to become human and bouncing around.
Yeah, I wasn't around for that one. I was already gone. I had switched over to graphic novels, and that was it. If I wanted a comic book, I'd buy a trade paperback, get the entire story arc in one fucking sitting, and that's what I've done. And that's what.
Oh yeah.
By the way,
I did that with Craven's The Last Hunt because I didn't.
Jim Steranko was saying that's not a graphic novel. That's not a graphic novel, and I don't call it a graphic novel. I call it a trade paperback. So technically, Watchmen was not a graphic novel because it was a collection of the comics.
Right.
Even what I'm doing, I'm selling it as a trade paperback, not a graphic novel, with Vindicated, because each chapter is 18 to 24 pages. So therefore, I'm going to allow chapters.
Are you also going to do single issue?
Yeah,
distribution.
In the industry, we call them floppies, and I will make them available as floppies, and then to purchase the entire thing as one graphic novel. The problem is I threw out 3 chapters, and I just tore them up, threw out the art. I'm like, nope, this is wrong, and I went back to the drawing board, and all the writers got paid. They'll still get credit, but I'm the writer of Vindicated, and really, when you see the graphic novel when it's done, it's me, and it's my fucked up humor, and there's a lot of fucked up humor in it, and because I have a gallows humor, and I'll tell you the story behind it. The whole way Vindicated came into existence was the morning I had to pay rent for my apartment when I was raising Zoe. It was back in 2011, and I had to pay rent. I jumped in the car, drove 2 blocks to the other apartment complex where the office was. And between those 2 blocks, driving to, dropping off, and coming back, the entire story was in my head. And it started out as a stupid little cartoon, a single 3 or 4 panel cartoon that I wanted to do because I've known a lot of disabled veterans. And I don't like calling them disabled. I don't like things being referred to as broken. and it bugs me. And
you're more a handy capable kind of guy.
No, I'm more enabled, not
enabled.
Disabled.
I like that.
And that's what I can't stand the one you said. When people say that, I go, oh, don't fucking say that. It sounds stupid. I'm not disabled. I'm enabled. And,
I love it. I love that.
And that's what he says in the book. He actually says that in the book. Handy capable. I just want to punch somebody in the fucking junk when they say that.
I know. Yeah. So I was just, hey man.
It's so disparaging. I think it's disrespectful.
It's like you can't call them midgets. You have to call them little people.
Yeah, just what the fuck. Yeah. But anyway, so the cartoon in my head was these two veterans in wheelchairs playing basketball, and one of them has only one hand, and he shoots the shot, makes the shot, turns to the other guy in the wheelchair and throws up his stump, and he goes, "Phantom limb high five." You don't laugh, but I've told that joke to disabled veterans that laugh their fucking ass off at that. Well, because that is a fucked up thing that veterans do. We have a very gallows humor,
dark sense of humor. No.
And
like
they will be.
I felt it was going to be disrespectful to laugh, so I'm just like,
no,
that's why I'm holding it in.
It's fucking funny, and so I had that joke in mind, and then I said, "Who is this guy?" I asked the question, and if I hadn't asked that question about who that guy was that threw up the fake high five. Because that's what happens. He throws the hand up and does the fake slap, and I just thought that is such a great nod to their humor, disabled veterans, and I just, who is this guy? And that's what happened. He was disabled. How did he become disabled? And the story before I got home, 2 blocks back, the entire vindicated story was in my head. And the first person I phone called was Jeff Searcy from Wounded Warrior Project. And I told him, I said, am I insane or is this not an amazing fucking thing? And he was like, that's fucking amazing. And I knew, and that's why he wrote the afterword to the book. And when it gets released, you'll get to read what he said. Jeff Searcy from Wounded Warrior Project, what he thought of it. Because I was very connected in with all these guys because of the work I do. And I want to, when the book gets released, I have to have a deal with a veterans program. I'm not going to do Wounded Warrior Project. Everybody does that one. I'm going to find one that deals specifically with PTSD.
Okay, no, this is exactly, let's put it in the chat. This is exactly what I want to talk to you about afterwards.
Okay, cool. But anyway, well, I guess we should wrap this shit up. It was a great episode. We got a lot of heavy subjects today, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
We talked about domestic abuse, PTSD, talking about all kinds of shit. Steve,
you introduced me to Steranko, which
Jim Steranko, who's
I appreciate.
Absolutely an amazing artist creator.
Oh, that reminds me. Remember, I went to get something.
We're going to try to get him on the show, by the way.
So his style kind of reminded me. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, Juan Ortiz. But I met him at a Star Trek convention, and he autographed it to the Dorf Knight for me. And I love his work, and the stuff that you showed me really reminded me of that. So that's why I was like, as I'm going down the rabbit hole. So you've given me something to do this weekend, so I appreciate it.
Hey, I don't think they're shady Zacks, but they've become too big. That's the problem. And when you become that big, you never know where the money's going all the time.
No, and that's the kind of stuff I'll talk to you about because I was the marketing director for a very large Las Vegas charity for 8 years, and when people say that they're shady, it's not necessarily that they're shady. There's just the so for example, the charity I went with, it was 100%.
We'll talk after the show. Let's talk
yeah. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
No problem. Because
I just wanted to kind of defend the Wounded Warriors. It's kind of like when people say
Wounded Warrior program does a lot of fucking good. And I will never shit on them. I will never shit on them. They've had stuff thrown out for a long time.
Well, once you get big enough, you can't rely on 100% volunteers. So you inevitably
that's
have
the problem.
To pay
and
people.
what percentage is going
exactly
to the program, and what percentage is paying for your stuff?
Right.
And that is, of course, that area where people are annoyed with it. And I'm like, well, that's what happens when you get big. That is what happens.
It is. No, that's
and
literally what it is.
ActVow is who I want to work with ours, because they deal directly with PTSD. And I say the name ACVOW, and nobody fucking knows what the fuck I'm talking about. And that is the kind of organization I want to get out front that deals specifically with veterans with PTSD.
They only have 143 people who like their Facebook page. Like, we got to blow that up, you know.
Oh, did you look up ActVow?
I just did it right now. Yeah, because like I'm telling you, like, this is something I want to talk to you about. I'm passionate about, and
I am too, because I suffer from PTSD, not combat related, but I suffer from PTSD from abuse and from a kidnapping.
Oh wow,
my daughter's kidnapping.
I've got it. We'll talk later. I'm not ready to put mine on blast on the internet like you are.
Yeah.
But
I'm just not afraid of stuff anymore. I just don't care. People go, my God, you talk that so openly. I'm like, it's because I don't care. I stopped caring about people knowing, and I'm in my. I'm going to be 60 in 2 years.
Holy!
Ask
shit.
me how much I fucking care anymore. It's like none, not at all.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
So, but I want to thank all you guys. I want to thank our chat. You've been amazing. Lord Thoth, all of you guys. Zax, did you make a list for me? I bet he forgot.
I don't know. Zax was great to me in the chat. I love you, dude. Thank you for.
Zax is such a great guy. He is one of the most necessary evils on this show. And yes, he is fucking evil. If you don't think he's evil, you don't fucking know Zax.
My dog ate the list, Gary.
Dog ate the list. Fuck you, buddy. But we met his kid the other day on a video chat. What a lovely kid, man. What a cute kid. His little dragon pajamas.
Thank you.
Puff the Magic Dragon style. It was really fucking cool. Lord Thoth, thank you. Lord Thoth is my age. There we go. I'm going to be 60 and carry the one device. We don't do math on this show, God damn it. We've said this before.
Yeah, I use the art side of my brain, not the math side. I don't know to.
Yeah, well, that's why, and I've talked to Script Doctor about this. I can't write and draw close together. I have to separate them because they do use different parts of the brain. And when I transfer from those parts of the brain too quickly, I get a fucking headache. I get a massive migraine.
Mine's a little different. So mine's separate, but it's because I like to, I like to get my head right as I draw, but I need a clear mind for when I write. You know what I mean? So there's no way I can do the two back to back or whatever. You know what I mean? So
exactly. Thank you, Martin. No, we love Zach. Kyle.
Just misunderstood.
Every time I say the name Kyle, I just think of South Park. Kyle. Screw you, Kyle. He's part of this show, and he's going to be part of our marketing thing, and he's really the power right now behind the algorithm, trying to work through algorithm to help build us. Because I don't know how to do that shit, and he's doing it, and I love his fucking little videos. I like what he's doing. He fixed the audio on Paul Salmon's interview, which was really good. Good job, buddy. And you have 8 years, and Keith, you still have 6 years, right?
I'm
the oldest on the show so far.
I have 17 years.
Yay!
Sorry.
Fuck you, you kid, child.
I do have 2 more years until I can at least retire. So,
But I want to thank the chat. Thank you all for being here. You're so deeply appreciated. We love you. Again, our membership is how we're going to be paying bills. If you can please help. Right now, we're not getting paid every month. We're getting paid every other month. We need to get the membership high enough to where we're getting money every month. So we're paying for our streaming and shit like that. So
let's make it happen. I'll help any way I can.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, panel, for being here. SnoDub, wish you could have stuck around. We know shit happens, but we've had a really great panel. Wish Tom could have made it, but it is what it is. Tom will be on the show again. He just pops in when he can. That guy's the busiest motherfucker of any of us.
He does a lot of shows.
I worry about him, and he knows I do. I'm always asking, "You okay?" I'm serious. I'm a former combat medic. I can't help it. It's my nature to be nurturing. And I'm like, I know you're not getting enough sleep, dude. You're saying you're okay. I know you're not. We just lost some.
Yeah, I think Script Doctor.
Oh, shit.
He said in the private chat.
He said it in the private chat.
Script had to go.
Oh, well, thanks for being here, Script. Sorry I didn't get to have you talk your way out. But I guess, Fat Steven, you've got stuff coming on Monday, right?
I guess Babylon 5 and
Yay.
ghost hunting and other stuff. But yeah, thanks for the good show, Gary. Thank you, panel. It's been good. Thank you,
It's
chat.
been a great episode. Deleted Scene, what do you got coming up?
I am going to be hosting Saturday Serial tomorrow with hopefully with Matt Allen. He's been under the weather, but hopefully he'll be back. I'm going to be on Rambling Canucks karaoke Saturday night show on at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Outstanding.
And Friday of next week, I'm going to be on Troy Pacelli's show, Friday Night Last Call, and we're going to be talking about the David Lynch film Mulholland Drive.
Wow.
Oh, cool. That is such a weird movie. I saw that in the Art House Theater in Champaign, Illinois. And I was blown away by that fucking movie. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? Do I need to drop acid before watching that? So
Would be advisable.
Take some shrooms. Safer.
I've never
Viking.
done that much opium.
Viking, what do you got coming up?
Well, I've got right now. I've got a video about the Tolkien Society being on, an hours on Twitter to the Bellonets, who are the hosts of the Spotify podcast, The Council of Elrond, and coming up, my review on season 4 of Cobra Kai, which is, in my opinion, the best thing that out there right now, in terms of series, and everyone should check it out. And I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of everyone here and ourselves, and I hope that we pass the audition, mate.
Yeah. I'm certain it'll be. Now, look, it's not that I don't agree with you, but Taylor Sheridan has the best stuff on television. The best television you can watch is anything written by Taylor Sheridan. And that includes 1883, Yellowstone, and his new series, Mayor of Kingstown. And nobody writes fucking television like that guy. But I will say, in the top 10 shows of television right now is Cobra Kai. I fucking love that show. I love how they ended the season. I'm like, they find a way every season. Fucking,
Yeah. It was one of those seasons I couldn't stop watching it because of the Salty Nerds. I had just watched Karate Kid Part 3, and I didn't realize I'd never seen it before. And I'd also had to watch the next Karate Kid and realized with the girl, the $1 Million Baby girl, I forget her name, but I'd never seen that before either. And so I'm glad I watched those with those guys, because I would have been lost for season 4, because that's all Karate Kid 3.
Because Miyagi is in it, it is part of the universe.
Yeah,
And I'm glad that what's his name, Ralph Macchio brought that up.
Yeah.
So hey, Doug,
the Miyagi verse.
Let's talk about it. What's going on with you?
Oh, I actually, unfortunately, I still hope everybody tunes in to the Saturday morning. It used to be called Saturday Morning Home Gang, but in 2022 they're changing the format or whatever, and it's going to be like Saturday Morning Live or something like that. But it's same time, Salty Nerd channel, podcast channel at Saturday 10 a.m. Pacific time. Hey, but I will not be on them for the next 8 weeks, but still check it out. And
what's going on?
I'm just going to be tied up for the next 8 weekends with
S&M shit. Okay.
Yeah, sure. We'll call it that, or business, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Whatever. Thanks for being on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, because I'm pretty open.
You're
on
part of our
Fridays.
show now.
So, then I'll say you can see me next Friday then. But still check out the Salty Nerd guys. I'll be back in a couple months.
Yeah, Script just messaged me privately that he's got a meeting and he had to head out for it. I'm so glad to have Script on today. He's He's one of my
Script is
best
awesome.
friends. Just one of my best friends.
Yeah, I wish
And
I'd saw it
when I
sooner. It
tell
was my
people-
first time meeting him.
When I tell people, because like I've talked to other people about this, it's like they know Script Doctor. He gets in and out. When you're having a private chat with him, it's in and out. Talk about it. Be done with it. And I said, how long do you think, Script Doctors in my first meeting was? And people are like 45 minutes. And I went, it was 8.5 fucking hours. It started at 7 o'clock in the evening, ended at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning.
Oh, wow.
And we weren't done. We just had to abandon because we were both getting tired and knew we had to stop.
That's
And-
about like what my first time sitting down to talk to Script was like.
Yep. Yeah, and it's
Not for
also
that
you
long.
and me.
Oh,
Whenever
yeah.
I get on the phone,
Isn't
it's
that a beautiful
4 to 5
thing?
hour call.
Isn't that a beautiful thing, though?
Josh Becker.
and the time passes like that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to be having Josh Becker back on. He's the filmmaker that worked with Bruce Campbell on several films, and they grew up together. He's part of the Detroit Mafia, and with Sam Raimi and all those fuckers. And we're going to have him back on the show. He's got 5G. The last time we had him on, it did not go well. Just internet break. Oh, it's so bad. It was like he would go, "Well, let me tell." Yeah, and it was like that, and I'm like, oh,
AOL
God damn.
days.
So this time we're going to do a test this coming week to make sure it works, and then I plan to have him on next week, next Friday, and I'm wanting Script on for sure because Script is somebody who will understand what Josh was talking about when it comes to writing, and the person who had the greatest impact on me as a writer, we've been friends for almost 30 years, is Josh Becker. And I find him, when I let him read a script of mine, I'm terrified to hear what he's going to say. And so far, everything I've shown was liked, but my heart is racing. I almost had a heart attack the last time I let him read one of my scripts, which was Jung. I let him read my script, Jung, and when he told me that it was the best thing I'd ever written, I just went, I said these words to him, "Oh, don't fuck with me. Just say it. Say what you're going to say. I'm ready for it." "No, he's like, "No, Gary, I really liked it." I'm like, "Oh, you're fucking with me." I couldn't believe that he liked it and he fucking loved it. And when I do that, I'm going to be doing it hopefully with Script as a full-fledged book and work towards doing a film. Because
hey, man, right on.
Carl Jung is the father of parapsychology. And I wrote an homage to him, a love letter to him, and it is mixed history with horror. And
that sounds awesome.
And I mix comedy in because it's like the X-Files. It's like the X-Files meets Night Stalker in 1889 through 1905. So it's almost steampunk horror.
Oh yeah, that sounds good, man.
But let's get this closed. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for being here. And I'm going to do our little video here. And everybody that wants to chat after the show, on the show, stick around. But I want to thank everybody in the chat. You guys have been wonderful. And see you next Friday.
They're not
Hey
up here.
guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Remember, you can find us at Pop Culture Minefield on both Facebook and Instagram. Thank you again.
Y'all come back now. You hear?